The opinions you're about to hear on this show are strictly those of the panel.
The following program is rated TV MA LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Friday Night Shit Show. Welcome, Bruce and Ruben.
Hello.
How are you guys doing?
I'm good.
You guys ready to talk about a bunch of shit?
Yeah.
Even though I'm happy because of who our president is and the way things are going, and I poked myself in the eye and it's all swollen and it's bloody. But
you did really good. Whenever it comes to self-mutilation, you almost do as good with yourself.
I sent Bruce a photo of my close-up of my eye. I was like, look, I poked myself in the eye.
First thing I see in the morning
yourself in the eye?
Yeah. Yesterday during my stream, my eyes are itchy because everything's covered with pollen, and I was rubbing my eyes, so I kept turning off my camera, rubbing my eyes, and next thing I know, I poked myself with my thumbnails, because, and it hurt, and it was watering, and I was trying not to, look too terrible. And then it started burning, and then I saw it turning bloody inside, and I was like, damn, hope I don't have to get to the doctor. Yeah, it was, filled with blood. So it looked terrible, but it's still a little swollen stuff, but it'll be all right. I'll survive. But oh well. We got a lot of shit to talk about, and some of it's good. I mean, we got some good shit. But the first thing I want to share was this awesome video that I found. I found two videos that I want to share first. Two of them, so you guys can let me know what you think about it. But here's the first one.
Dad, guess which is it? Is it NBA or NFL? 36 have been accused of spousal abuse. 7 have been arrested for fraud. 19 have been accused of writing bad checks. 117 have directly or indirectly been bankrupted at least 2 businesses. 3 have done time for assault. 71, I repeat, 71 cannot get a credit card due to their bad credit. 14 have been arrested on drug-related charges. 8 have been arrested for shoplifting. 21 currently are defendants in lawsuits, and 84 have been arrested for drunk driving in the last year. How many of you think NBA? How many of you think NFL? Well, the answer is neither. It's the 435 members of the United States Congress.
Yeah, pretty interesting, huh?
Yeah.
Because they're just like us. They're just people like us, and the fact that we let them walk all over us and not fulfill the job that we put them in the office for is on us, basically, because they can make crimes and do stuff just like we do. So we should hold them accountable. So, but here's the other one I thought was pretty good. I wanted to share before we get started on the rest of it.
Someone said, please tell me what it's like to be privileged. I said, okay, I'll tell you exactly what it's like to be privileged. Privilege is wearing a pair of $200 sneakers when you don't have a job. Privilege is wearing some beat headphones that cost $300 or so while you're living on government assistance. It's having a cell phone with a data plan that don't cost you nothing each month. It's living in public housing where the cost of rising taxes, rent, electricity, and things of that nature don't have no effect on the amount of food you put on the table each month. Privilege is marching or protesting against anything that triggers you, knowing that you don't have to call into work or pay for the consequences of such behavior. Privilege is being able to put the word black before anything and not be called a racist. Privilege is basically what you've been seeing on the news here lately. See, that's privilege to me because I'm white. And obviously, since I'm white, I can't say white before anything or I'm a racist. And it's privilege to me because I've always had to work my ass off since I was a kid to provide for my family.
So
Hi, Bear.
Hey, Bear. I'm sorry I didn't see that you were doing because I was too busy doing all this other shit.
I know.
I'm terrible about that. And plus, I don't know if you saw it, but I poked myself in the eye and it's all puffy and bloody inside. I did that last night. So I sent, that was what I sent Bruce this morning. I sent him a photograph of a close-up of my eye. Look, I poked myself in the eye.
Why would
like I don't mind some things happening, you know, but when I first wake up, the last thing I want to do is have a fucking demonstration from the special effects artist from The Thing.
Welcome to Cronenberg world.
I don't want to see Robo Teams work at like 7 a.m.
Yeah, it looked really bad. It looks a lot better today than it did when I said it because that whole half of my eye was blood. It was terrible.
Blood fucking red.
But I just want to say hi to everybody in the chat. Let's see who's in here right now. Say hello, Grumpy Old Ninja. Thank you for joining us. And Baby Girl, hi. Thank you. And who's that? Oh, he's saying hi. Okay. Hello, everybody. Thank you for stopping in. Oh, there's Bear's message. See, I just now reading it now. Sorry. Yeah, you're here now. How are you doing, Bear? Before we get started,
like a big dream. Can't wait to wake up.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I wish I was there right now. I wish I was in La La Land.
Oh no! I'm fine.
Surely there must be a Tim Hortons nearby.
What's a Tim Hortons?
Are you serious, Janet?
Yeah.
First of all, there's a Tim Hortons to watch my house.
Gotta have the Timbits.
No. Canadians are not into Tim's anymore because it got bought by Foods International, who own Burger King, the Brazilian conglomerate. And they proceeded to immediately change the recipe for the coffee, change the recipe for all
no.
And slowly but surely, the quality of Tim Hortons just went down. And now most of us really think McDonald's coffee tastes great. Now, there's an apocryphal tale that says when they changed the recipe for Tim's coffee, the president for McDonald's Canada went to the brewer and said, "Hey, can we buy the recipe?" And they said, "No, there's a perpetuity contract on it."
How many years ago was this?
A blend that is very close if you'd like. And McDonald's said, "Do that." And McDonald's coffee is now like the best coffee you can buy outside of going to a really good cafe.
When was this, Bear?
A few years ago.
Okay, it was about 5 years ago.
About then, yeah.
About 5 years ago, I was shipping my mom and dad at the time, like, Black Rifle Coffee, because I was an ambassador for them.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Hey, you don't have to do this. We just started getting this McCafe, and we really like it because we can buy the stuff at the store that tastes just like the stuff at McDonald's."
Yep.
And I don't know if McDonald's Canada, McDonald's US shares the same facilities.
Maybe.
I don't know. But it would be awful fucking nice if I could go somewhere and drink the same thing when I cross borders.
I haven't had a coffee in the States at McDonald's since the change, so I can't tell you if it's the same coffee or not, but I'm telling you right now, 100% McCafe is vastly superior to Tim's now, which is sad because Tim's was a Canadian institution. But, they sold it off to a foreign company and they all wanted money, so they just started cut.
Us Texans are going through the same shit right now because 3 years ago, Whataburger was bought by a Chicago bank. And slowly you can taste a little bit of a difference in some of the burgers. Now, other things, newer things that have been added, the burgers are great. Like the white hatch or the green hatch chili pepper and bacon burger is great. Some of their favorites are really good. But like their regular Whataburger tastes kind of like either Dairy Queen or a Burger King. It just doesn't have the same spice. It doesn't have the same oomph.
I can't eat beef in the States. Your beef tastes like antibiotics. I hate to break the news to you. Every time I go to the States and I have beef, I'm like, what is that aftertaste?
Well, okay, where are you getting your beef from? Are you going to
I go to like a McDonald's, or I go to a Burger King, or I go to Bob's Burger Shack when I was in Santa Monica, and there was a burger place right across from the hotel.
Well, you have to come to where I live. I'll take you out and get you a real good steak, one that's raised here.
Yeah, no, see, that would be great.
Yeah, I'll do the same for you here.
Every time I go to the States and I have beef at a commercial place, it just tastes like antibiotic to me.
Yeah,
you can't go to a franchise.
I don't need those places.
Well, it must be nice having money to burn.
Well, I don't.
Oh, okay, we'll just skip over the part where Bruce did his taxes today.
I'm just saying, you can afford to go eat at fine-ass steak joints. You've got more money than me.
Well, mine's a little hole in the wall down the road.
Mine is the kitchen because I buy my beef.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We got stores. We have local stores. We have the HEBs. We have, which you've never been in Texas. You have no idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but the nice part for us here is like we don't have to worry about that because our beef is properly. You know what I mean? Like Canadian beef is good beef. It's not as good as Brazilian beef. Brazilian beef's the best beef I've ever had in my life. But Canadian beef is well regulated to not have additives and antibiotics and shit like that.
And that's what we're hoping we're going to get back to.
Hopefully.
Oh, I'm praying for that because once you've had a good steak, it's hard to eat any other steaks. You know,
very true.
You can't eat it, and you learn not to order them at certain places anymore because they just taste like shit.
Hey, we're wearing pants. We won. Look at that. Buy a lotto ticket.
Yeah, it'd be good. But the first thing I wanted to bring up, I thought was really interesting, was a presser that had our vice president at it. And then I have something to go with that afterward. But I thought this was the one I wanted to start with because I thought it was really good. And I was very impressed.
Bear, it was 85 degrees today. So we do pantsless streaming in Texas.
You do? I have pants on.
I wouldn't. It's 85 degrees out in the hot part of the day.
Well, I shared this today because I thought it was really good. Yeah, it was a Greenland presser. Okay, it was or Vice President Vance calls out the media. So I wanted to play this for everybody because I thought it was really good because we're getting sick and tired of the media. I don't trust them. They're the virus. But here we go.
Signal chat leak. Has that investigation concluded, and what are the findings?
I think we'll get an update soon. Look, we take it very seriously. We all accept that a journalist should not have been invited into the chat, and members of the administration, including my dear friend Mike, have taken responsibility for it. But I find the American media's obsession with this issue very, very interesting because I happen to remember about 4 years ago when American military leadership made a catastrophic error that got 13 innocent Americans killed in Afghanistan and had about $80 billion of military equipment turned over to one of the worst terrorist organizations in the world. And for years, the American media ran cover for a Biden administration that refused to fire any generals or even launch an internal investigation that was meaningful and substantive about what happened. And now the same American media that covered for the Biden administration after the untimely death and the unnecessary death of 13 brave Americans is really, really interested in forcing the president of the United States to fire someone because of a signal chat. That is not honest behavior from the American media. And if you think you're going to force the President of the United States to fire anybody, you've got another thing coming. President Trump has said it on Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday, on Thursday, and I'm the Vice President saying it here on Friday. We are standing behind our entire national security team.
Great for him. I thought he handled that very well, very professional, and I'm very, very, because I didn't know who this guy was when he went on the ticket. But I'm really impressed with the way he handled that today. What do you think about it?
You ever see The Omen 3?
No.
It's
What?
Sorry.
No, it's what's his name?
Sam
The
Neill?
guy from Jurassic Park. Sam Neill. As a grown-up Damien running for office as the president. And every time I see J.D. Vance, I'm not saying he's the devil. He just gives me that vibe of like, you're way too good at this. You're way too good at this. Like you worry me.
Wasn't he in the military too?
Yeah.
Okay, he was a military guy. Well, see, I never heard of him, but a lot of my friends and relatives from Ohio, they were always impressed with him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he handled this much better than Marjorie Taylor Greene handled that British reporter. So, thank God you got people like him offsetting that chaos.
Well, the thing is that we got to remember this is a person that has a good chance of running for president next time, So I want to watch him as he progresses from a person I never heard of, right, to someone I feel can step in the place of Donald Trump. So I'm trying to pay more and more attention to that because if he's, an idiot, I definitely don't want him running for president. But so far, there's, I've seen him like in 3 or 4 pressers like that. And I think he's handled it really well. And when he was sitting next to Trump during the whole Zelensky shit, I was real impressed with that too. But this next thing fills in the gap after this for the answering of, hold on, I clicked on the wrong thing. Damn it, I suck at this. Hopefully I'll get better. But this one is the answer for what happened after they found out who was responsible. And they said they were looking into it, and they did. So here we go. Right here. The DHS staffer was punished after she accidentally included the reporter on email about upcoming ICE operation report. So this is out now explaining who did it. And that was a staffer. It was not any of the top people that were in the meetings, because I'm pretty sure they all realized we don't want these reporters involved in our discussions type of thing. So I want to share this link in the chat for anyone who's interested in reading about who the real person was that caused all this chaos, to get the Democrats to basically shut up about this whole thing. But is there anything you want to add, Bruce or Ruben or Bear?
Well, from my perspective, again, this is a nothing burger as usual.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that you have it here, they're laying it out. But again, the media is going to be tough on Trump, tough on the truth. Let it happen. I don't care. It is what it is. Let them go down this path, burn their brain cells. There's a lot more that has to be done.
I agree.
Yeah, I think the Department of Homeland Security needs to be wiped out and removed from the face of the earth. I think it is a post 9/11 power grab and should never have been allowed to be done in the first place, just like the TSA. And both of them need to be removed and use the proper already existing groups that can do the same job as them without being completely incompetent at it the way they continually appear to be. But at the end of the day, look, if Trump came out and said, breathing, it's really good. I hear great things about it. We should all be breathing more. Take the breaths. That's what we need to do. Be the best breathers in the world. There'd be a lot of Democrats passing out with blue faces. Okay? Like, no matter what this guy says he supports, they immediately seem to want to take the controversy with a bunch of children. I can't watch this shit anymore. I used to watch a lot of this shit, but now I'm just like, you know what? Jimmy Kimmel can go fuck himself. All these people can go fuck themselves because they're just big fucking babies, and
Yeah.
it sickens me. And now they're acting like domestic terrorists, and apparently that's okay. Apparently that's acceptable. It's like, fuck, Jesus.
Yeah, it never shocks me though anymore. Anything that's said like that like he said during that whole presser about President Trump said this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and today's Friday, and I'm saying it now.
But here's the problem I have, or the situation that I have. If we all remember when Biden was in office, Merrick Garland basically came out with who is the biggest problem. It said white supremacy, and there was a documentation that came out regarding domestic terrorism, and we all know about that. We all complain about it. Now, the narrative from Soros is telling these people to go and attack Tesla to commit domestic terrorism. So they still get they would still get what they wanted. They want to implement this for more control. This is again that goes back to barrier argument. The reason that 9/11 was occurred and the effect was implementing the Homeland Security, but then it could be as nefarious as they needed to have something to get Homeland Security in place. So that again, this goes to the idea that this attack on Elon is going to be premeditated. There will be a great cyber attack. There will be blackouts, and they're going to seize more control. Those are going to happen soon, especially this summertime coming, when the heat starts to rise. They're going to say the climate change nonsense. They're going to do more burning and attacks. They're going to again. It hasn't happened. It's building up. So we have to be very, very careful for this summer coming up, and be resilient, and again realize that. How'd you say it? It's the theme of Sum of All Fears, the movie. They want us to fight each other. They want Democrats to fight Republicans. They want the left to fight right. They want black to fight white. They want everyone to fight each other. It's a giant Squid Game, and they want you all to fight each other. And I'm sick and tired of it. The bullshit has to stop now. We have to go straight forward and do what's best for ourselves, our family, our community, and others first. Very, very important.
Go ahead, Bruce. You had something you wanted to say?
No, it's just a massive distraction tactic to keep the plebes fighting each other, the lower class versus middle class versus lower class. That's all this is. And we've seen this before. It's not the first time it's happened. Hardwick is kind of spot on. There was a lot of people that whenever I was first hearing about JD Vance, I'd never heard of him. I'm not from here, and I'm not from his home state. First thing that popped up was Peter Thiel, and that guy kind of gives me the creeps because like all these people want to invest in AI and stuff like that. Oh, without AI, you're going to be behind the curve. I don't give a shit. I don't care. I'm doing something that AI can't fathom. They can't program a truck to go out to a troubled spot. They can't have a fucking robot pop out and free up a stuck lid. And they can't have a robot adjust for things like hoses, clogs in the system. My job is secure without AI. And I'm sorry for those of you that have to deal with it. Unfortunately, they've made the fucking internet AI rich. So anytime I type in anything, when I hit my search key, Google or Bing will give me the AI result first, which I don't fucking want. I never want it. I don't give a fuck what AI thinks. Give me the fucking search results I can actually click through. Do what you're supposed to do, you fucking search bar. And I just like all this shit that they're talking about is just a fucking nothing burger. What the fuck is going to happen? Nothing. It's taking up time.
This is why I love Bruce. Bruce can take a point about the abuse of media and the distraction and somehow tie that into railing against AI as the doom of mankind and then come back to the media.
We have an entire series of fictional movies which show you what happens when you turn this shit on.
I let you talk. Let me talk, bro. Come on.
Go ahead.
But the thing is that, okay, there are two different conversations happening there, Bruce. One's about the abuses of the media and one's about AI. Which one are we having? Because I can't fold two arguments together like you can because I try to be logical.
I'm an asshole, and it doesn't matter. But the thing is that whenever I started searching about Peter Thiel, all of his information that popped up was basically like, this guy wants to kind of cut the balls up of Richard Branson on his search for AI, and he's trying to do everything he can to circumvent, Chinafy, or steal the progress by Elon and other individuals in AI. And he's one of the major proponents trying to propel Vance forward.
So,
He's
so
a major
so
voice.
we could say then AI is not the problem. Shitty people is the problem.
Absolutely.
Oh, crazy.
But you got to remember,
because you know what the plebes do, what the idiots do, the fucking clickbait crowd and the morons that live in our society, they think AI is the problem. AI is not the problem. Just like guns aren't the problem.
I feel
like
that
education isn't the problem. It's the shitty people that use it for bad things. That's the problem.
I think you have a very valid point there. Very valid. But the problem that I'm actually having is that you have too many faces out there just parroting this. We have a new tool we have to explore. No, I'm good. Every time he came up with a new fad, I ignored it, and I seem to make it through.
I also skip line dancing. I mean, that's life. Yeah. You can pick your fads you want to get involved with, but AI is not a fad. I hate to break the news to you. It's a paradigm shift.
It's the future.
It is 100%. Okay, just like digital music was a change, and just like
when people kept saying, "Well, I'm not going to go digital when it comes to banking, and when I'm always going to write checks, and I'm going to always do this because I don't want to change, and I don't want other people to have control over my money, right?" But the thing is, they'll be talking about it, and then I'll say, "Well, didn't you just go get cash?" And she goes, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, how did you get your cash? Did you go to the cashier in the bank?" And she went, "No." She goes, "I went through the ATM." And I was like, "And you don't believe in digital?" See, a lot of people just they're not clicking it in their head about what they're actually doing. They got a credit card. They're doing things with credit online, buying stuff that's all digital. So if you're not spending cash on everything and going in the bank and getting cash from the teller, then you're digital. Okay, whether you want to believe it or not, you're already advancing into the future. So, start thinking about what it is you're saying before you say it.
Janet,
make yourself
if I start the week with $50 in my pocket, usually that's gone. But I try to keep about 50 to 100 in my pocket at all times, just for the fact that, like, I don't want to deal with your banking issues. Fine. We'll transact with trash. We'll transact with trash with cash. Trash, same shit. It's all fucking devalued as hell. I honestly feel that we are pointed in the wrong direction. Yes, AI might be the quote unquote the future, but I just don't see it. In my own perspective, other people might with theirs, and they're telling me, "Oh, well, I'm using it for AI art for my digital cover for my magazine or for whatever I'm doing." That's great. I still have a value for things that I did before AI, and I prefer not have to program myself in order to do AI assisted tasks, and I don't want to have to get good with Grok. I'm good with being an asshole without Grok. I can use Bing. And it makes me sad. And the worst part about this is that it's my same argument against people that drive cars. Why are you driving an automatic? Why didn't you buy a manual shift? Well, it's easier to drive an automatic. You're fucking it up, okay? Because the fact you are taking out some of the connection between the man and the machine, getting to know the gearing between the clutch, the sound of the engine, sound of the road noise. You're fucking up. You're making this so dumb people can do this. People that have no idea of weight, vehicle physics, inertia. If there's a load in the back, we're putting too many people on the road, which is why we have so many overtaxed fucking EMS people. But Bruce is about to go off on a tangent on fucking AI cars. So I'll just shut the fuck up here because you already know.
Yeah, but that's the same argument where you had manual cars then they came with automatic cars. So
I
the
like-
idea that you had some intelligence built into the machine to help people automatically change it.
I
The
don't.
same thing when you had
I would love
spreadsheets
to get
and then
rid
you
of the
had,
automatic
Excel,
transmissions.
change. It's the same thing.
I want to get rid of the automatic transmissions across the board. If you can't drive a manual, fuck you. Take the bus.
I got a better one for you, Bruce.
Or
Fuck that.
bicycle.
Let's get rid of those auto starters and key ignitions, and let's go all the way back to having to crank the engine in the front
I would
before we
love
really
that.
start.
I would
and then we
I
need-
would do
we
that.
need
Fuck
the
my
lost
heart
I would
attack.
love if we just
lever
went back to
again,
riding
and-
horses.
Like, this is, guys,
Yeah.
like, I get it. The world is changing. I understand that. But, like,
And it's tough
come on,
for some
man.
people.
There's much bigger problems in the world than automatic fucking transmission. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
The
There's
fact
way
that
bigger
no, because you don't have a quality fucking public schooling program to teach kids how to conduct themselves on the road. You have a bunch of kids 24 and under.
Yeah, but why do you? But that's the argument That's the argument I don't like. Where we have a school system. No, you have parents. They're supposed to be responsible for their children. It's not the school system.
You are correct on this. Unfortunately, we don't have parents to teach their kids how to drive because they themselves are fucking unskilled drivers.
Because the parents weren't taught right. Because again, it's a cyclical argument where at the beginning of the 20th century, you had the breadwinner, the father, go out and get this stuff done. Mom stayed at home, hunter gatherer type of thing. It's the same for thousands of years that we've had that type of thing. Then they gave women the right to vote because they wanted women out of the house so they can control the kids.
We ever had giving women the right to vote. What the fuck were we thinking?
Taking them out of the work, putting them out of the home, putting them in the workforce.
Stupid.
Not
Some
all
women
men are
do read. Just like men. I don't think every man is a
Janet, I'm
caveman.
fucking with you. Relax.
I know. I'm kidding.
Don't
I'm
fucking
fucking
believe
with you too.
Okay, good.
That's why you guys like me, right? Because I'm not a wimp. I mean, I cry because I am a girl. I do have emotions, but I try to think things out and use logic and common sense when I make decisions for myself. And if I can do that, then why can't other people? See, I just expect people to take responsibility for their lives.
So guilt would work both ways.
Go ahead.
Okay, so Bruce started the statement properly and then dropped off when he started talking about cars again. But the educational system is the problem. There was a series of things put in place that were meant to educate and inform the populace. One was a media that was supposed to provide facts so that then the people who were taught to critically think in school could use their critical thinking to observe the facts and make decisions based on such things. Now we have an education system that is absolutely shit. And our country has it too, by the way. You're not alone on this one. You're worse than us by a fucking country mile. Like, let's be honest, but we're pretty bad up here too. And the media everywhere in the world is absolute shit because it's owned by assholes. And I used to work in news radio. I could tell you stories. But anyway, the point is that we basically have an uneducated, uninformed population. It goes well beyond the problem of automatic transmissions and goes into the problem of automatic society, where there is a formula, you churn everybody through it and they come out. How many fucking kids these days are coming out of school super woke, super leftist, super Marxist, and think that this is the proper behavior because they're being taught this shit in their formative years. And their parents are too scared now to say anything because we're almost at that level of, Big Brother report on your parents. They didn't do their 20 minutes of hate, so let's go ahead and report the parents to the people. That's happened in the UK.
Right.
I've said this many times. Australia is test base 1, Canada is test base 2. Why? Because you have two populations that aren't too big and aren't well known for getting up in arms and causing trouble. So you can test, and they have very, very similar cultural norms to America. Right. So you can test out all of these ideas and see how far you can go before the system breaks. If you tried testing this shit in America, you guys would just start shooting people because that's what you do. You're like, well, I've had enough of this bullshit.
Now, I know that
you write a sternly worded letter. No, that's what we do.
I don't think it's that bad yet, but it could get that bad. In some cities it is. But, but that's like in California and a couple other places. Where I'm at right now, people can actually sit down in a cafe and have actual discussion.
If you're in the bush.
But
You're
I
in the
know.
bush.
But what I'm saying,
Okay,
even when
let
I
me
was
ask
in
you,
New
hang
Orleans,
on, let me ask you a counter question because I grew
Mhm.
up in the bush. Okay.
Mhm.
And I can guarantee you, if I was to sit down in a cafe where I grew up with the country folk that I grew up with and say, well, okay, look, I get it. Transgender scares you, but let's talk about the fact that these people exist and therefore we need to find a way to have this. They'd shut me down just as much as liberals would shut me down for having contrapoints to them.
Mhm.
And that's the problem. We are no longer able to have communication and conversation in a rational way. Everything is emotion based, like fucking children. So the last 30, 40 years of Western culture has been designed to turn boys into adolescents. So you see how many men in their 30s do you see playing video games and wearing ball caps that don't drive trucks and don't work on tractors and aren't playing baseball, but they got their ball caps on like a fucking teenager, right? So they're just smart enough to go do the job, pull the lever, press the button, lift the thing, good. But they're not smart enough to think about running for office, running for local city council, or turning the system on its ear. Great. Women have been reduced to a protected fucking purse puppy, which is, oh, women, oh, we got to protect women, protect women. They have made women think that if they step outside their door, they're going to get graped in 5 minutes. Oh, there's 5 men over there. They're going to grape you. So now you're scared as a gender to do anything in this world anymore. So now, what are we going to do? We're going to replace both of you. We're going to replace women, we're going to replace men, and we're going to have this whole new thing where there is no gender, there is no this, there is no that. And now, fucking hell. At what point does someone stand up and go, oh, enough? We need to calm this shit down, go back to the table, have a rational adult conversation where emotions are not what is happening, but logic is part of the thing. You can't do it. It's gone. The fucking ship has sailed. We're never having those conversations again. Everything is emotion now. That's
Well, I don't believe it's that far yet. It's getting close because we're having one right now.
Yeah, we are not. We tend to align politically. Enough.
Well, the thing is that we're starting stuff. People, by us having this opportunity to have our own shows and do things like this, even if very few people watch, it doesn't matter. It's the fact that we're able to speak our mind and not being shut down. That's a start. Okay. And
Sure.
me doing it, I'm doing it. I'm not working for any company. I'm not getting paid to do it. I'm doing it because I want to do it. So nobody's forcing me to say something that I don't agree with. Like
But that's, I'm not saying anyone's forcing anyone.
No, I know. But what I mean is the media, okay, used to be where they would share facts. But then
never
money got involved, and big bosses tell them, if you just don't say what we tell you to say, you're not going to have a job. Okay.
So this is a misconception of Western civilization that once upon a time the media was noble and true. They never were. You can track Western media all the way back to the Old West, where the term yellow journalism exists because of the way it was. Media always, newspapers, television, radio, all the way up through. And I've worked in it. I studied it. It's what my degree is in from college is history. I never got my degree. I dropped out and started working instead, but I was studying it. There's never been an unbiased media, ever. In the history of Western media, ça n'existe pas, as we say in French. It does not exist.
Well,
so
today
we're fighting for something. Now we need it more than ever.
We need it more than ever. But the thing is, I can say something on this channel, I'll say YouTube, and I can say the same thing on other channels like X or Rumble, and I might get chopped down on YouTube, and I won't on another. So there's still bias out there depending on what company owns the application that you're using to try to promote information. So we're always going to have somebody that's got their thumb over you, and you're not going to be able to get away with it. So either you do what they tell you to do, or you just move on to the other aspects of trying to get your information out there. That's just part of life. But I don't
get the fuck
they
off
have
that.
the right to do that because they own it. You see what I mean?
Listen, Blue Sky, X, TikTok, these things are all fucking cancer. They're brain cancer. They're soul cancer. They're intelligence cancer. They don't help you. They don't make you smarter. They make you stupider. They make you more biased, and they don't give you an actual picture of how real people talk. 90% of the human race in Western civilization have rational conversations like this every day. 10% scream and rant like 12-year-olds and 8-year-olds who didn't get what they wanted for them. I wanted chicken nuggies and I didn't get chicken nuggies. Fuck my mom, fuck my dad. Well, that energy is what they bring. The problem is on social media, the inverse happens. 90% of the people in there are the ranting maniacs, and 10% are the people going, I just came here because I wanted to watch a movie. What the fuck? What's going on, man? You know? And that's where we're at. And so I stuck my finger into X again recently, just a little bit. I went to my buddy said, come to Blue Sky. It's really nice. I said, listen, if I get over there and it's just leftist ranting, like right-wing ranting is on X, I have no interest. Goes, no, it's fine. One day on Blue Sky, and my entire feed was just leftists screaming about whatever the fuck they were screaming about. I'm like, well, this is exactly like X. It's just the other side of the street. You know?
Yep. And you're going to see that on every single application. It either leans one way or the other. It's very, very hard to find the middle on anything, except real life. See, and that's what I tell people. I don't stay on this. I go out. I have chickens. I have family. I have neighbors. I have friends. I do stuff just like I was talking about earlier. I found my mother's bowling ball, and I took it to the bowling place, and they're shining it up and trying to buff out some chips and stuff. And I want to start bowling. You know, I want to start doing something with a piece of my mother with me. But that is not on an app. You know, that's real life. And what I worry about is people like children being on, you know, whatever it is that they're on their phones, on what was it, Roblox, all these other, you know, apps for kids, and their parents don't mind it because guess what? The kid's not bothering mom and dad. See what I mean?
But this is by
and they
design.
should be outside playing.
This is by design. You were saying about women getting the vote and getting them out of the house. This is so okay. Before the OPEC crisis and before Nixon moved to the petrodollar from the gold standard, a man or woman, but a man could go and have a job. Be it a night watchman or be it a truck driver or a bus driver or whatever it was, and he could make enough money doing that job to raise his family, put his kids through school, and maybe even get them into college if they qualified. And because everybody didn't get to go to college in those days, but you could maybe do that. Then the petrodollar comes in, and we watch the inflation, the economy, and everything go to shit over time. And now suddenly we're at a point where that experiment has reached its peak, where we're no longer just the man and the woman of an atomic family both have to work to take care of the kids. You got to have two jobs. So between a normal family, if you can find one, both parents are working two jobs. They have no time to raise their kids. They're exhausted. They're tired. They're trying to feed everybody and keep the fucking lights on. And along comes this miracle, this little, and I can just give this to the kids and they shut the fuck up for an hour. Oh my God, this is the best child. Yay. It's not their fault. I don't blame them for it.
No, I don't blame the kids. I don't blame the kids. And I don't blame the parents.
No, I don't blame either of them.
Yeah, because it's
Apple.
Easy. It's convenient.
I blame Apple.
Well, but the thing is, you can let your child play on these things. I have no problem with that. But there should be limits, and you should know what they're doing on it. I brought this up a few times. There was a show I watched, and it was a report about a kid who committed suicide in his front yard because he was on an app called Snapchat, and he was talking to someone he thought was another 11-year-old girl. Okay, and he's 11, and they shared pictures of them, or she asked for pictures of him nude, basically, and he sent them to her. Then found out it wasn't a girl, it was a grown-up, and they were saying, you got to pay me $45 a day on PayPal, or I'm going to send these pictures out to all your friends and family. So he was like, I'm a kid. Yeah, I don't have money. I only had the little bit of money my parents put on here, and they didn't care. So after he committed suicide, the parents looked into it and found out, you know, what was said on his side, basically with this person, but Snapchat didn't want to give the information of the other person. So it's sad because this kind of stuff happens because parents are so busy and they're not really paying attention to who their children are speaking to and stuff. Because you know me, I'm real big on this whole thing about kids, being able to be children as long as possible, because they have the right to be a child, and we should stop putting adult situations on children. I'm a firm believer of that.
I've seen the same thing happen to adults. This exact scenario you're talking about, I've seen it happen to adults. And when the adults I know that they're in their 20s, they were telling me this happened to them. I'm like, so go put a picture of your dick on Facebook. What? On Facebook. Why? You take away the power that this person is holding over you now. Now you go, oh, you want to reveal my shit? Well, look, here's my shit. Woohoo! And then you're free. But as long as you give those people power over you, you will never be free. And they will always find a way to extort you. And that is the mental state we live in, which is that people are opposed to freedom. Like they're opposed to being free because they have shame. Right? We have a Pride Month every year. I think it should be immediately followed by a shame month, where we all just talk about the stupid shit we do and go, you know what, I feel bad, I'm dumb, and then we can move on with our lives. But we don't have that. We have the constant pursuit of happiness. We have the constant pursuit of comfort, and we have the constant pursuit of, oh, that guy's got more than me, I need more too. And sadly, we've become, we're not human anymore. We're just consumers.
Well, some of us aren't.
Okay.
I strive.
When I say we, I'm not referring to the.
I know, but I just want other people out there to know that you don't mean everyone. You just mean.
No, I just mean most people. I just mean most people.
Yeah, maybe most. I'd say at least 50%. At least.
Easily 50%.
Well,
look, I had to explain to a friend. So a friend of mine was talking to me today about Hungary, right? What's going on in Hungary and all this. And I had to explain to him what happened in Eastern Europe and why the EU was a bad idea for Eastern Europe, and why Eastern Europe is not compatible with the EU. And he was like, "Wow, I never even thought about it that way." I'm like, "Exactly, because no one takes the time to educate us anymore." So if you have an uneducated civilization trying to understand geopolitics or interpersonal relationships or dating or banking or anything, it's chaos and hell. The problem is committing suicide is never the answer. Never the answer. Never, ever, ever, ever the answer.
Right.
It's just, it's I'm sorry. And I apologize to anybody who's had to deal with it. I apologize to anybody who's had to live with it. I get it. It's harsh, it's horrible, it's disgusting, but it's never the answer.
Make love, not war.
Huh?
Make love, not war.
Okay. Well, to the next subject that I had on the list, this is the next thing I thought was important that we should watch, and because not a lot of people understand this part of the new administration and stuff, and I thought you guys would be interested in. This is off Bill O'Reilly, and I didn't even know he still did interviews and stuff, but I thought this was pretty good. So here we go. I'm gonna start it. We started to the beginning again. Make sure it's turned up. Okay. It is. Here we go.
So as I promised at feedback, I was going to go to Boston. I'm going to bring hell with me. And we did. I was in Boston this last Tuesday. I started an operation with ICE, HSI, ERO, FBI, ATF, DEA, U.S. Marshals, and the State Department. And in a 5-day operation, we arrested 370 illegal aliens in Boston and the surrounding communities in Massachusetts. And 205 of those were significant public safety threats, including 4 murderers, child rapists, armed robbers, a couple Interpol red notice arrests. We arrested a lot of bad people in the last 5 days in Massachusetts, many of them in Boston. We just put the numbers again today. You're the first show I've actually been able to talk about this. The numbers just got put out today, Bill. So
this is what Trump ran on. One of the things he ran on was to try to get rid of these illegal aliens that came over the border remember he said they emptied their prisons, okay, all these different South American countries, and just kicked them out and sent them to our border, okay, because we had an administration that welcomed them by handing them clothes, a place to live, credit cards, all kinds of things, because they thought if they brought them over here and gave them a place to live, that maybe it would help with their voting. I don't know for sure, because I mean, I wasn't involved in it, but I'm glad to see this happening every single week. We're getting rid of more and more of them, and it's going to cost us a lot of money to do it and shutting down our borders. But to see this administration and having these people come out and explain to us that they are doing it. And now it's going to take a long time, and people snapping their fingers, expecting everything to be done overnight is childish and dumb, basically, because it's impossible to fix what's happened for many, 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 many years and fix it overnight. You just can't do it. So to see little bits and pieces of it being let out to us and explaining to us that they are doing it, and this was just in Massachusetts, in one area near Boston, 370 illegal aliens. So I'm really proud of these people, and I'm happy to see, like, Tom Homan doing his job and sharing it with us and letting us know that they are trying to clean up our country and put it back into perspective, that we can't let people just walk over a border. They need to come to the border and sign up like everyone else that has to become a citizen. If they want to live here and raise their families here, then follow the rules. We'll accept you that way, because our whole country is based on immigrants, basically. I mean, half my family were immigrants, from somewhere. So I just think that was a really good little tidbit to let us know that they're doing the best they can, little by little by little, because there's so much of it to clean up. So do you have anything you want to add? Any of you?
I really like what Tom Homan does. I like the fact that he's willing to do like a weekly update, and the fact that he's willing to at least go through the successes and illustrate the parts where they're having trouble. He hasn't really expressed like a lot of pain yet, or being unable to get into some places. There are a lot of cities and even some states say we are a sanctuary state, or we are this or that. But Homan represents a federal portion of the government that takes their job very seriously. And as much as I don't mind somebody being from wherever they may be from, I think, like most Americans, I want people to be here for the right reasons. If you're here to just suck down tax dollars and not contribute, we have plenty of people that do that here already. I don't remember needing you to contribute your absence of talent to that list. I think most people feel like that. Most people. There's a viable amount of people that feel exactly opposite of me, and they're the ones that are screaming the hardest about Doge, which makes me very happy.
Well, Ruben, do you have anything you want to chime in about that? About what I just played? If you're there.
And not about Doge, about the government doing what Trump promised.
Yeah. So I guess Ruben's away from his microphone right now.
I'm okay with him being away from the microphone. We've seen what he has.
Yeah.
The same thing that Bear's got a pussy in his arms. I understand.
Hey, it's the only pussy I'm getting these days, so shut up.
Hey, I have my own, and it's still lonely, but oh well. That's just the way it is. Not everyone could have, what Ruben's got, right at his fingertips. But I just wanted to give everybody an update on that, because that is one of the big things that this administration ran on. And I am happy that he does give weekly updates, even though it's only on a very small portion of our country. It's the fact that he's still doing it. Every week, he's picking somewhere, he's going there, and he's working with other agencies. He always says the agencies he's working with and gives them credit, which is good, because that's one thing you get tired of hearing. It's that I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this instead of we're doing this. We're doing this. I like it. I like hearing people, higher up people, give credit to other people. You know what I mean? I think that's important because they aren't doing it by themselves. We're all involved. So I like that. I just wanted everybody to see that. And here's my next thing. Unless you have something you want to jump in, Bear, say something about it.
No, I'm good. I stay away from that topic.
Okay, that's fine. Let's see. Where am I at now on here? Sorry. Give me a second.
I mean, I love the people that are here that are doing something that contributes to local society. I just wish they were all here with the right paperwork. That's it.
Okay. Start from the basis of why are they immigrating, right? That's the first question you need to ask yourself. Are they coming from some place where they yearn freedom and it's a part of their culture to have freedom? Or are they coming from economic reasons because they are quite fine at home being dominated by a dictatorial? So as the further east you go from the western shores of Europe, the more you find people who are easily dominated because they appreciate culturally a strong leader. They want that. The Russians are a perfect example of that. They do not do well when they do not have a centralized authority. Case in point, Russia in the 90s, when it was all chaos until Putin came in and took control of the country and started to try and get things locked down. It's the nature of their culture. So after World War II, we saw tons and tons and tons of Western European migration into North America. Italians, Greeks, Spaniards, British, you name it. They were all coming over. They shared cultural values with most of us here, so they assimilated much easier into the world, into the society that existed. Now we're getting people coming from countries that are not freedom-loving, because if they really wanted freedom in those countries, they'd have had revolutions to try and overthrow their governments by now. Most of them have just had revolutions to overthrow democratic governments to put in crazy strongman leaders and what have you, or religious fanatical leaders, et cetera, et cetera. Bean, stop that. Thank you. So it comes down to cultural compatibility. And sadly, while they try and sell it to us as the idea that this is all refugee and people are fleeing horrible situations, it's not. It's economic migration. And the cat just closed the door. All right, so I'm going to deal with that. But yeah, so I sort of agree, but I don't agree. It's a far nuanced conversation.
Yeah, it's a deep conversation. That's why I just wanted to give an update, because it's something we could be talking about every single day, all day long, basically. So, but this next thing I think is pretty good. It's another part of, because you got to remember, Brett Baer did this long interview with different departments with Doge. And I've been trying to play little ones because, it gets overwhelming when it's just for hours listening to it.
38 minutes.
Yeah. Well, no, different ones. He's been doing lots of ones, not just the one you're talking about. Okay, I'm talking about since they started. He's been doing little interviews with them. And I've been trying to show snippets of different interviews for months since they've been going. But this one that I was about to share is about the 4.6 million credit cards handed out like candy. So I thought you guys would get a kick out of this. I think Brett's done a really good job at the way he's been handling interviewing all these people that work for Elon to help us to go through all this tons and tons and tons of information and trying to sort it out. And they're good at explaining it, even though they're mostly these people are like, computer eggheads or whatever you want to call them. They're really good at explaining to normal people what they're doing and what they're finding out. So here's one little thing I thought you guys would like to hear.
Silicon Valley, private sector colliding with government.
Yeah, exactly. And we're headed in a bad path, but the chance of success exists. And just the one that just is in my head right now, which is a fairly mundane one, but I think is very illustrative, is credit cards. There are in the federal government around 4.6 million credit cards for around 2.3 to 2.4 million employees. This doesn't make sense.
Right.
And so one of the things all of the teams have worked on is we've worked with the agencies and said, Do you need all of these credit cards? Are they being used? Can you tell us physically where they are?
I hope they're getting frequent flyers.
Actually, on a different note, the rewards program the federal government has is actually not very good. That's a whole other
negotiation.
Right? Yeah, exactly. But so far, the teams have worked together and they've reduced it from 4.6 million to 4.3 million. So we're
taking it easy.
Yeah,
but clearly there should not be, more. There should not be more credit cards than there are.
The thing is, they've already cut almost half of the credit cards out just by going through it, trying to find out who has what and who's accountable for them. So it's already making a difference just by going through it. The fact that we have people now that are going through it and trying to pull out some of the bad stuff is a beginning. Okay, that's something, because if you ran your house the way that our government has been running our government, we would all be in the poorhouse. We'd all have nothing. We'd have no homes, no cars, no jobs, nothing, because they aren't without, because they're using our money. If they had to use their own money to do all this stuff, they wouldn't do it. See, so I'm loving the fact that they're opening up, they're peeling the onion layers out, and it reeks, but we're seeing what's down inside there now. We're starting to be exposed to what's more and more corruption than we even realized, because I didn't even realize it was this deep. I mean, honestly, I knew it was corrupt and they were wasting money hand over fist, but I had no idea where it was all going. And they are the people, not just Democrats. It's not just Democrats that took this money and is spending it on weird, stupid shit and wasting it on whatever it is they want. Probably hookers, clothes, cars, who knows, trips. That's where all this money's been going. And I love it. I love that they're taking the credit cards and they're cutting them up. They're not going to give them back to these people, because we aren't. I'm not going to vote to give these people back all this shit that Doge has found in any of these departments, because it's wasteful. I would rather see veterans get health care, have a place to live and food in their stomachs, because they've already lost limbs or their other psyche problems or whatever it is. I'd rather see them get some of this money than go back to these dumbasses. I don't want them to get the money. And I want to see it back to where they work half the year and then they go back home and do their jobs that they supposedly have before they took office. That's the kind of governance I'd like to see, that kind of change. But I know it's going to be a long time. I'll be dead before anything like that might come up. But if we get our younger generation to see what streamlined government's supposed to be like, maybe if we have overseers that are watching the overseers, and the people watching them constantly with transparency, maybe we can actually have a government that isn't this much corruption in it and clean house a lot. Because I don't believe that you can have anything without someone that's corrupt, because there's, even in every family, you've got a person that will come to your house and go through your cabinets and take stuff from you, without asking for it. So, you're going to have that in everything, whether it's church, school, your job, your government, everything has corruption of some sort. But I'm happy to see the happiness on these people to do this job, to go in there and go, wow, they're shocked by it. And you can tell by their interviews how shocked they are of how much crime and corruption they're finding on a daily basis. I'm loving it.
Can't disagree.
So I'm thinking it's awesome. And I'm enjoying to actually see what our government is doing. That's another thing I'm liking that Trump has done when he said he was going to try to make it as transparent as he possibly could. I do believe him, and I do believe that he's trying to do that. But he's only one person, and he tried to pick a team to help him make it as transparent as possible. And I'm enjoying that he's doing it, and the fact that some of these guys are going on shows like ours the podcasters and stuff, and not going in, CNN and Fox and all them. They're going to podcasters and other people to get the word out to younger people, because young people that I know that are in their 20s don't really ever watch the news on TV. They get almost all their news from podcasts. And it's nice to see that Kash Patel and others are going on those shows and trying to get the truth out so that people understand it. When it does come up, they're going to say, oh, yeah, I remember I saw that on this podcast or whatever. So I don't know. I'm really liking it. I'm enjoying it. I'm sleeping a little better. I'm a little happier. I think I got a little more of I'm starting to feel like maybe there's a future, for me and my family, because I'm going to be able to save a little money, and maybe my daughter will be able to buy her own house because, she'll have the opportunity to do that because things are getting a little better, but we'll see. So you guys have anything you want to say about what we just listened to or not?
Canada needs a Doge.
I think every country should have one. I really do. And the people should be involved in it. And that's how we're going to hold our people that we put in office accountable for what they're doing. I really think this is a genius idea. And I hope it catches on, because I've heard other countries talking about wanting to implement some sort of Doge into their countries too. So I'm hoping you get one. I think it helps.
That'd be nice, Bear. I would love to see you guys be able to actually have a parity to where you could compete. I've been alive for 50 years. I've never seen a Canadian car in my life. I've never seen it.
What brand is it? I mean, do they have a name brand like?
What's the name brand of Canada for the car? Is it starts with an R? Can't remember the name of it.
We don't have any national brands of cars.
You guys don't have like your own version of like Renault or?
We build American brands. We want our own brand, but the government's refusing to let it happen. So instead, we're at the mercy of you guys.
That's that's kind of weird, because you guys have a good manufacturing sector. One would think that you'd have a couple college kids that would make something.
We're not you. You need to understand. We are not you. Like, you guys are encouraged to go out and try and build your way and all that. We're not like that here. That's not how we are. We are crab bucket mentality in this country. We have always been crab bucket mentality, and we always will be crab bucket mentality. And now you're back after being a bitch. Are you done being a bitch? You want to be sweet now?
Okay. Well, are you guys ready for the?
I was unaware of that, because, in all honesty, like my exposure to Canadians is primarily through military members.
That's different. That's the military.
And those guys kind of like, I mean, after a while of being integrated or being around Americans, like, they really don't act like what you're talking about.
So again, most Americans don't act like what you're talking about either, right? Like, I've dealt with military Americans and non-military Americans.
Yeah.
Military Americans are very different people. Military is the key factor that you're dealing with there. The thing in Canada is, we used to make stuff. We don't anymore. We import. We're now a net importer of product, but a net exporter of resource. Okay? That's the first problem in Canada. Second, the government does not want to help anybody do anything here. They don't want us to survive, but they'll waste fucking money on pronouns and bullshit like that, right?
Yeah.
Third, the deputy prime minister for a long time, who's now no longer deputy prime minister, thank goodness, sat on the executive council of the World Economic Forum. Like, how the fuck is our country supposed to run properly if we're dealing with the fact that the WEF has direct influence on our national policies? You understand?
They make it kind of difficult. I get it.
We don't celebrate celebrity here. You guys do. You guys make celebrities into royalty in your country.
Well,
you might not, but the American people do, and it's provable. Don't even argue. You know.
No, we don't have nobility. That's why we celebrate celebrity here.
Canada, we kind of go, yeah, but come on. You know, it's like, oh, Celine Dion, yeah, but she's from fucking northern Quebec. We don't care. That's how we are here. We're not allowed to get big. We're not like, you guys think you hate Nickelback? You have no idea how much this country hates Nickelback. You know what I mean? That's just how it is. The only people we celebrate here are hockey players. It's the weirdest thing. Like, they can be celebrities. Nobody else can be. It's just the nature of the beast.
That's funny you say that, because there was a movie about the miracle where the United States beat up the Russians at the Olympics.
Yeah, with Russell Crowe, yeah. Shot in
No,
Canada.
Kurt Russell, not Russell Crowe. There was the Broad Street Bullies.
Two movies of that, because there's one where Russell Crowe's in it.
That's sure. Mystery Alaska.
That's what?
Mystery Alaska is a Russell Crowe hockey movie.
Sorry. Yeah, okay. Sorry.
You're good. You're good. No, they went up against Canadians in that movie, and they got their ass handed to them.
Oh, no, we're really good at hockey.
I'm not discounting that, but the Broad Street Bullies, nobody ever talks about them. They beat the shit out of the Russians back in like 1977, and nobody talked about it because the Broad Street Bullies went about first injuring every member of the Russians they could, and then they went to score 4-1.
Yes. Greatest. That is American hockey in its perfect, beautiful state. We got very little options in the draft. So how about we trade all our really good players for extra draft picks, and we draft everybody who's got like insane penalty stats? Okay, welcome to the Broad Street Bullies. You know what I mean? Like that's insane.
Mm-hmm.
We want our celebrities to be Wayne Gretzky, right? Which is why when he went to LA, we fucking disowned him. When he left Canada, because Janet wanted to be she wanted to be a movie star. That worked out well for her, didn't it? And we just kind of went, you know what I mean? We're done with them.
There was somebody named Janet that wanted to be a movie star?
His wife, Janet. Gretzky, but what the fuck is her movie star name? Janet.
I didn't know there was a Janet movie star.
Janet, I want to say Janet Jones. Yes, Janet Jones.
It. I remember that name now. I didn't know she was a movie star, though.
She wasn't. That's the point. She had a couple of roles and wanted to be a movie star, so she convinced Wayne going to L.A. and playing for the Kings was the way to go so she could pursue her acting career, which went nowhere.
Yeah.
All right?
I got to respond to Grumpy. He's talking about, I love my Broad Street Bullies. The Flyers have not been the same since. Okay, there's a problem with that. After that fucking season, National Hockey League came out and took the nuts out of hockey. They have not been so foul heavy since. And brought, we might have gotten more Canadianized is what some might say. I'm not going to say that because the fact no, Canadians make an actual hockey game. Americans up until that point, their idea of hockey was the boxing match first. And fucking the Flyers were really interesting because they would tell you, hey, we're going to this bar after the show's over. You can come drink with us and get drunk with us at the bar across the street from the arena. And then on Saturdays, we play this amateur softball league. And if you want to come cheer us on or join the team, you can do that too. But the Broad Street Bullies, that's why you got guys like Grumpy out there. They're like the fucking Philadelphia Flyers were the absolute best team ever because they were part of the people. They were literally wanting to rub shoulders with their fans. I don't know of any other team that did that. Sorry.
Why?
Oh, I don't watch hockey. I don't care. Pardon me. I don't care.
You don't know much hockey, but you're from Canada.
No, I know a lot about hockey. I just don't care.
Well,
I don't like sports.
I don't really watch sports at all.
I like amateur sports. I even like college sports, but I do not like professional sports.
Okay, that's fair.
Watching millionaires play games, that's my taxes, man.
I like horse racing because I go to Hot Springs, Arkansas, and go to the races and make a few bets. I don't really know that much about it, but I like going to look at the horses and stuff. I just love horses. But I was just going to, before I go to the next thing I'm going to pull up, I just want to say I like Nickelback. I don't know what everybody keeps saying. They hate them. I like their music. So I guess I'm just weird or something. But
used
I
to
admit
respect
it.
you
I'm
so
not
much.
ashamed to say that I like Nickelback. So
I used to have so much respect for you. Now,
well, I can't help it. I'm not going to lie about it. I do own.
at least you're not a Swiftie. At least you're not a Swiftie. We'll leave it at that, right?
No, I don't. I don't like Taylor Swift. I admit that. I don't like really any of her songs except the one that opens my video, and I didn't pick it. Joe Stamata did that for me, and now he's dead. So now I'm like, I'm gonna keep using it. So he made my whole intro and everything, and my outro. So
Rest in peace, Joe.
I know he was a good person. I really liked him. But okay, well, the thing that I have ready, I'm going to share this. This is the next thing I thought was pretty interesting. Is Kash Patel, and he's on a podcast like I was talking about.
That guy's getting killed Monday.
I want to ask your thoughts on the news yesterday. We didn't touch on this at all. Donald Trump filed a lawsuit yesterday.
Yeah, probably. Hopefully he's not listening. It's his best one yet. No.
Oh, is that right?
I think so. It's the most conclusive, comprehensive lawsuit. It's basically if you took the Russiagate investigation, which Jevin and I ran, and looked at it from a criminal perspective, what Donald Trump has done is said, okay, how do I encompass everyone from Comey, Clinton, Clapper, Brennan, and all the whole DNC crew on down? How do I get them civilly in federal court? And the way you do it is you utilize this thing called RICO, Racketeering Enforcement and Corrupt Organizations. We used to prosecute gangs under RICO statutes criminally.
Cartels, you're right.
But what most people don't realize is RICO also has a civil function. So what he did was he took the RICO statute, which is permissible under by law, and said these guys orchestrated the largest criminal enterprise in U.S. history, but I'm suing them on my civil side of the house for, I don't know, $75 million. The whole point, right, is to get to discovery.
Yes. Well, then also civil can lead to criminal.
Absolutely. It can. But I think John Durham's got that covered. We can talk about that later. But I think what the president wanted to focus on was finally say, I'm not going after onesies and twosies here. I'm bringing everybody in, one federal lawsuit. Everybody's got to go to the table as a defense.
So just being objective, do you think this has a chance of walk us
100%.
through why? Because I mean, we've just kind of been so used to be cynical.
Sure.
Right?
And you know, we talk about how hard it is for defamation and when you get deplatformed and all that. This is totally different animal. What he did was figure out a way with his team of lawyers to say, okay, how can we encompass everybody? And the only real way to do that is RICO. But is there a way to hold them accountable under that statute civilly? RICO permits that both monetarily with judgments north of $100 million, which he doesn't really care about.
Mm-hmm.
But if you find them at fault, the discovery process along the way is what's critical, because they're going to have to come in and say, no, Mr. President, we did not violate the RICO statute. We did not enter into an organized conspiracy against you to prevent you from being president. And then while you were president, we did not go up and illegally surveil you. And by the way, the great thing is, how are they going to get around that? There's an inspector general report that says exactly what they did, and that's what Donald Trump brought civilly. And there's also Department of Justice filings, the revocation of the FISA warrants against Carter Page. How are they going to get around that? These are judicial rulings in place and concrete memorandum under oath that they can't do.
I'm real excited about this. Really excited about it because it's civil, okay, and that means they'll be able to get all the information they need from certain people when they bring in the evidence to prove their case. And once it's out there, it's documented as proof. Just like what happened with the laptop, the Hunter Biden laptop that everybody said was Russian misinformation, and the FBI had it for 4 years and denied that it was real, blah, blah, blah. And then they brought that little tiny case for having a gun or whatever, you know, him having a weapon or whatever. So they brought that. But guess what? Because they brought that case against him and they used information off of the laptop, so they were able to bring the laptop in as evidence. And in court, they proved the laptop wasn't Russian misinformation. It was really Hunter's laptop, and that the FBI had it for 4.5 years. So it wasn't manipulated or played with by the Russians. So now it's there and available for the next case. And that's one reason why I think Biden tried to write this open blanket pardon for his son, so that none of that stuff could be used against him. But guess what? It can. it can still be used against them. But also, it wasn't just Hunter's information on that laptop. There's many other people's information on there, and it was leaked. Lots and lots of it was leaked out way early from different people that were able to get their hands on certain things that they knew were on there. And then there was a couple groups of people who have went through and documented 400 and something felonies, on the documents they found on the laptop. So to me, we're going to see more of the laptop later on, especially when this whole thing goes to court and they're forced, like Pelosi and all these other people that swore that it was it wasn't Russian misinformation. It actually was the PP dossier and all this bullshit, which we've proven in a few little things that it was fake. That they lied to get the FISA warrants and all that stuff. They have that all documented. So I cannot wait to sit down and watch this case unfold. Hopefully it'll be live. We'll get at least a couple of judges that will agree that, hey, why not? Let it be transparent. The people that are going to be brought up on the charges against them aren't going to want it to be out here for us. But I think there's more people that are going to vote yes than there are no. So this is going to be pretty good. So what do you think about it, Bruce? Are you there?
Oh, shit. Janet.
Yeah. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm not having a problem with the proceedings that are going on with their declared roadmap and with the fact that they're wanting to investigate things. I find it weird that we can actually overrun and we can overrule the entire the pardons that were given out by Biden. But if we can actually prove that they were done with an auto pen, that's interesting. But the auto pen, Biden wasn't the first one to use that. And now I'm wondering if anything else in previous administrations, if that can be overruled too, or there's a statute of limitations on it.
Yeah, I don't know.
The thing is that if we're going to talk about Biden's laptop and all the stuff that's found upon that, it'd be awful nice if we would actually start seeing a little bit of like a progress meter, or like a weekly progress report. Like, I don't need Pam Bondi to be on the TV every day on Fox News, flipping her hair around and showing off her immaculate figure that a surgeon gave her.
Yeah.
God bless her. She's a very well built woman. And for the age of 60, she looks like she's 30 something. I know another woman like that too. But it's just that she is such a fucking starlet that I wish that she would not look so good and not appear to be so vain. I want her to do the job that we have her in position for. And we didn't vote her in. This is an appointee by Trump. Yeah. I'm not getting my money's worth out of her yet. Kash Patel, I'm kind of on the fence on. But if he can at least prove a quarter of the shit that have been hinted around on the internet, God damn it, this would be awful nice.
Well, this is the start. See, that's what I'm trying to say. It's only been what? 70 days?
64 days.
Oh, 64 days. Okay. 64 days out of 4 years. And this is the stuff that, like I just showed about all the illegals being arrested and different things that are slowly opening up. But the thing is, it's got to be done legally because we have to do it the right way to make sure that it stays. You see what I mean? That's the difference between
I don't mind things being done the right way, but I just give me a progress. Just are you still working on this? Are we funding this? What exactly did we pay for? Just a small snippet. Don't give her 17 minutes on Fox and Friends in the morning, or like a half hour with Brett Baer, or don't let her go run off on some podcast, which she could have otherwise been working for 4 hours, coordinating with her underlings and doing shit the right way.
Yeah.
I really don't want, until you have arrests, I don't want to know much. Just say, we're still working on this. We're pushing through on this.
The thing is, to me, like I said earlier before we started the show, I really do believe that Trump decided to do it this way because he's been thinking about this for a long time. Okay. What's the best way to go about doing this to where we can prosecute people? Well, a civil case is perfect. Because remember, when O.J. Simpson got away with, basically murder, okay, the only other way they could get anything was to do civil court. And they won in civil court, and they were awarded a shit ton of money. I don't remember how much for sure. It was millions, but none of it was paid to either family. The Goldmans didn't receive any money, and neither did the other family.
But where was he searching at? He was at the golf course looking for that murderer all the time, right?
Yeah. But the thing is that they just kept postponing everything. And then all of a sudden, he goes to Vegas and he's pissed off because he finds out someone's making money off of his memorabilia, that he didn't own it. These were other people owned it because they purchased it, but it had his name on it. So he was mad. So he got a gun and got some friends and went up there and tried to hustle these guys. And then he went to prison for that. Okay. So he didn't go to prison for the same thing, for murder, but he did get to go to prison. So, sometimes we just have to take justice as it comes. We can't expect to snap our fingers and expect everybody to just, bend to our will. We have to realize that this is reality and that we have to go through it day by day and accept what we're able to get, but not to give up on it, but to have faith that something will happen is if we don't take our finger off the button, So as long as we stay strong and try to keep saying, well, when are we going to see this, and asking questions and stuff, I think we will see something, because we didn't know. I didn't believe that Trump was going to win. Remember, I kept saying I thought they're going to cheat enough again, just like they did last time. And I was proven wrong. And I'm so glad I was wrong. I'm so thankful every day that Biden or Harris is not president. I really am. And so there is good things can happen, even if you're like me, a pessimist, basically. So I'm just glad. So we're slowly seeing changes, but we got to remember it's going to be slow. They got a shit ton of crap they got to go through. And I'm giving them, just like I said, I'm going to give them 6 months to have someone actually arrested that I think should be on there, like what they're talking about right here with this civil case. And if this case goes to court and they can get it, faster to have it start this year, then I'll be accepting of that. That's a start. Okay. But saying and doing is two different things, just like you were saying. So, Bear, do you want to chime in on this, or you ready for me to go to the next one? Okay. Well, I'm going to ask. I'm not going to ignore you.
I appreciate that. This is a your country bullshit thing, not mine. So
okay, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, so here's my next one that I wanted to bring up. I'm making sure this is it. Yeah, I think this is another good one. Here we go. See if you guys have heard this. Okay, now this is interesting, but this guy is talking about how he's talking to Hinckley Jr. I don't know if you saw this or not. And it's only a minute or so long.
The guy who shot Reagan?
Yeah, the guy that shot Reagan.
John Hinckley Jr.? Oh my God.
Yes. So here you go. This is interesting, but I'm not saying I believe all of it. I'm just saying that I like to hear other points of view on every issue, basically, because just because I think something doesn't mean it's right. It just means that's what I think because of the information I've taken in. So if we get other information, it might make you change your mind about things. But here we go. Now, I'm not saying he didn't deserve to go to jail and everything for shooting Reagan. I'm just saying what they have to say might have basis. Here we go.
Hinckley was related to Obama and Bush. The Bushes had dinner with the Hinkleys the night before Reagan got shot. What? Yeah.
Is that crazy?
Do you think, okay, I always thought Hinckley was a lone nut that was infatuated with Jodie Foster.
I had the delusion back in 1981 that by shooting the president, I could impress Jodie Foster. which me saying that now it's ridiculous, but that's what I believed back then.
There's actually interviews, dude, where he said, Uncle George told me to do it.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay.
Didn't they just let him out?
Yeah, and now he's doing like plain and coffee beans because he's put out an album or something like that. Because I remember when Obama was running, I was like, oh, change. It's going to be change.
Hope and change.
Hope and change. And then you start studying like the Bushes and the Obamas, and their first ancestor, their common ancestor is a Hinckley, dude. Right? And you go,
like John Hinckley, the guy who tried to kill
100%.
What?
Yes, their common ancestor is a Hinckley. And then when you realize that
Hinckley was related to Obama and Bush,
and related to the Bushes had dinner with the Hinkleys the night before Reagan got shot. And here's the craziest thing.
What?
Yeah. Is that crazy?
Do you think, okay, I always thought Hinckley was a lone nut.
Well, sorry, I let that go again, but I didn't mean to. But
yeah, so
what do you think about that?
If you're a conspiracy like me, this is old knowledge. You start to get into the Bush conspiracy of Herbert, not old Bush. You get into Bay of Pigs, you get into LSD, you get into oil, you get into all these crazy things, and you get into MK Ultra, which is what Hinckley was a product of. So yeah, the idea was to kill Reagan so Bush could become president.
I heard that years ago. My dad used to talk about stuff like that. Okay. But the thing is, now that Joe had this on his show, guess who's involved now? Guess who's listening and paying attention to it? See, that's what the difference. And that's what I'm talking about with the podcast and stuff, because Joe Rogan's fans are young, got lots and lots of young people that have no idea about Hinckley. They don't know that much about any of that stuff. But now they will, because they're paying attention to it, even though it's new. You see what I mean?
Will they though? Because the problem is they get lost in the...
some of them are going to get lost, but a lot of them are now going like this, thinking. See, the whole thing that I'm excited about, all of it, and I've mentioned this many other times, is the fact that younger people are starting to open their eyes and ears and understand the connections from the past, from their grandparents or even their parents. And they're starting to pay attention and realizing that when grandma said this or grandpa said that maybe they weren't nuts. Okay. That's what, to me, why it's interesting. And to see younger people starting to open books and wanting to go back and read and find out the connections, to me is important, because that is our future. They are our future. And if they are learning from the past mistakes, then maybe they won't make the same mistakes in the future. See what I mean?
They have the attention span of goldfish. No, it's proven. The studies are out.
I know.
The attention span of the Generation Z is terrifyingly low, and Generation Alpha is even worse.
But there's going to be some that are going to have the ear of these people, and maybe they'll be able to bring some of them out of the cult. I don't know. I'm having more faith, because when we're getting some of these podcasters that are real popular with these younger people, they're starting to listen, because I'm in a couple of groups, DM groups on different platforms, and I listen, and that's where I get a lot of my information. They'll play a video, and then there are all these young people in their 20s talking about it, and they're like, wow, I can't believe that this is what's going on. And I've been digging, and I found this information, and they're interacting with each other. And there are so few of us older people in there, and we don't say as much, but to see the younger ones be the ones digging, it gives me hope. I mean, I'm starting to get a glimmer of hope because of it. So that means all of them aren't brain dead. There are intellectual young people that want the facts out, and they want to learn about what happened in the past so that they don't do the same thing in the future. So it just makes me, in a way, kind of, I don't know, childlike to watch them blossom or turn into something new. I don't know. We'll see, because we're going to see it. Hopefully I live long enough to start seeing some of these young people step up to the plate. At least that's what I'm hoping. So we'll see. But I believe it is possible, because I do see a few that are crawling out of the cubby holes that the other ones are all in with their Oculus and their whatever else, because that's all they care about. So I don't know. We'll see. But I do believe in something. What do you think, Bruce, about the whole thing with Joe Rogan talking about this on his show? Something is old, but bringing it into the future.
If we're going to talk Joe Rogan, I really want to discuss the fact that he had a very good guest on talking about all the vaccines, talking about everything that happened over the last 30 years. And she went through pretty much the whole thing because she had 3 hours to discuss it with him.
Yeah.
Really.
Do you have that link to that? Some of that.
I can find it with a few strokes.
Okay. Well, because that way
that would need its own. We would need our own show to do that.
That sounds good to me. A Thursday team shit show to talk about that whole topic would be good.
As long as I'm able to stay awake through the whole thing and not be so fatigued.
We can do it. We can start earlier. I can start at 7. We don't have to start.
If I'm fatigued, I'm fatigued. That's the thing. If I get a nap in, it's different. You have to keep in mind, I change my hours. I wake up at 11 o'clock at night. I go till I work usually till 12 or 1 in the afternoon. So Monday through Thursday, kind of rough. Friday, more open. If you want to do something Friday mornings or early afternoon, we can. Thursday,
anytime you have an opening on Friday morning, I'm open. So just let me know. Just send me a link and say, "Hey, I want to discuss this," and we can do it.
I'm going to search her up right now. If you're gonna give me them Fridays, yeah.
Okay. Well, this next thing is another thing with Elon, but I think it's another important topic, and few people have been talking about it because of the whole thing with the COVID and the shots and a few other things. With the way that we've lived our lives, and he's trying to bring awareness to how important it is for us to have children. So I thought this was an interesting little tidbit that he put out. So here we go.
Well, there's a lot of things, I suppose, that I worry about, but and some of these things will seem esoteric to people. The birth rate is very low in almost every country. And it's something, unless that changes, civilization will disappear. America had the lowest birth rate, I believe, ever. That was last year. Places like Korea, the birth rate is 1/3 replacement rate. So that means in 3 generations, Korea will be 3 or 4% of its current size. And nothing seems to be turning that around. Humanity is dying. And people, it's just not something we evolved to react to. And I worry generally about the strength of America. America is the central column that holds up all of Western civilization. So if you've got the temple of Western civilization, America is the central column. If that column fails, it's all over. You can't run off to New Zealand or some other place. It's over. So either we strengthen that column and make sure America is strong and will be strong for a long time, or that roof's coming down.
So that was the reason I looked into this, is because of the whole thing I've been hearing, and I've talked about it a little bit here and there, about Elon having all these babies. He's got like 13 kids now, and some of them he had the women be impregnated at the hospital, not by them having actual intercourse or anything like that. So he's got a few kids that way. And he's adamant that, he wants to have as many kids as he can. And what is he? How is he? 50? Something like that?
He's 51.
Okay. So he's not very old. And men can basically, you guys produce sperm on a daily basis. So you guys can have babies up till the day you die. A woman can't. A woman is born with all the eggs she's ever going to have. And if she's damaged in any way through her baby cycle, basically, then she's not going to be able to add to the country or to the world by giving birth. So men are going to be able to do that. Men are going to be able to perform all the way to the end, but women can't. So we have got to get somehow what?
Studies have shown men who father children later in life, past 40, increased chances of autism in the child.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
The balls get bruised.
The seed.
So I guess it's the same for women and men then.
Germinate so good no more.
Because I know that women, once you hit 40, that the doctors will tell you that your chances of having a child with Down syndrome and other things like that go up because your eggs age. Now, the thing that was interesting that I found out about is the fact that each month when a woman's egg matures and it goes to the fallopian tube and then it has a chance of becoming, pregnant, it will attach to the inside of her uterus, and that's when the babies start to grow, right? But if a woman's egg doesn't develop, it just stays in there, then it will fall out. It will just dissolve. Her body just absorbs it again. But so this whole thing that he was talking about, I understand it because we've had a lot of women due to different health problems in the last 5 years. They aren't having. They're not carrying their children to full term, and they're having problems even getting pregnant. So
here's your history lesson on how this happened.
Mm-hmm.
I have said repeatedly on the internet, in public, many times over, baby boomers were the worst generation ever, period. And they bought into a bullshit doomer mentality about overpopulation in the 60s, and they carried it through to the 70s and onward. I've explained to my aunt repeatedly that overpopulation is not the problem on planet Earth. Planet Earth can handle about 20 billion people at our current level of technology. The problem we have is distribution of where people live, whether or not we're willing to invest in clean things, stuff like that. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
So as a result, the boomer generation started to preach this overpopulation message, so people started having children later or not at all. Now, this isn't going to lead to idiocracy because the one fundamental thing that they didn't understand in idiocracy is that the two stupidest people in the world could have a child, and that child could be a genius. That's how genetics work. It's not guaranteed the kid's going to be a fucking moron. But they decided that, for the comedy of their show, that's what it would be. And people think idiocracy is a fucking prophecy. It's not. The problem is the doom generation, which is what I'm calling the boomers from now on, have convinced us all children are bad in the first world. You go to the Philippines, you go to Africa, you go to even the Middle East, tons of children. Babies all over the fucking place. Mm-hmm. You go to Korea, very westernized Asian country. You go to Japan, very westernized Asian country. You go to Europe. You come to North America. Declining population growth, declining babies. Why? Because the fucking doomers got in everybody's head, and they also made sure you, Missy, wanted a career. Have babies later. Well, how's that having babies later thing working out for us?
It sucks.
Not so good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Add to all the other bullshit we have in this generation, the dating woes. Like, I feel bad for 20-year-olds because we had it rough in the 80s when we were, late 80s, early 90s, when we were 20s, and we were trying to date. It was hard enough then. Now it's a fucking nightmare. Most of these guys just check out. They have no interest in dating. And then all the women run around making TikToks going, where are all the good men? Well, maybe you need to look at how you're treating them and you'll have a better fucking idea. Mm-hmm. But the point is, but China's having that problem because of their one-child policy fucked them over because males were more valuable than females. So female babies were being drowned in rivers or left in dumps. It was really disgusting what that did. Mm-hmm. I knew Chinese guys who moved to Canada so they could have more children. Back in those days, they were part of the Communist Party and had the ability to leave China, and they came to Canada because they could have 2 or 3 children, as opposed to in China where they were only allowed 1, and it had to be a male. Otherwise, it was like that joke from the Dictator. Oh, is it the boy or an abortion? Like that joke. Like that's the way those societies tend to see things, and it's a problem. So China has that problem. We have that problem. Everybody has that problem. Except, the Philippines, the Middle East, Africa, Vietnam, Cambodia. They're not having that problem. Because they're not westernized. They're not stuck in the Western 60s and 70s culture that seems to define everything in our fucking world. Christ, could the boomers just die off? I can't wait for that massive die off that's coming.
It's happening. It's happening.
We might have a chance to save.
I just want to let you know, though, I had all my children, which was more than one, by the time I was 26.
See, but you did
I started as a teenager, so I wasn't one of them people. Yeah,
it's
I wasn't one
weird.
of them that
So
thought I
I
had
don't
to
know
wait.
who it was that came along and decided you were an adult at 18 when your body at 13 is going, hi, I'm ready to be an adult now. But we decided, no, 18. Okay, well, that's the decision we made. Right. Then we built an entire fucking society around that concept. And it's been nothing but a nightmare for us. It's been
Yes, remember, if you go back and look in the history books for American, the first people, that were crossing over from New York to California in the middle and starting farms, they were having babies when they were 13, 14 years old. They were married and raising a whole family of kids that worked in the farms. So, biology has proven that. Oh, that's fine. But so the thing is, I wish more people would think about that. And I don't have a problem with traditional families like our grandparents had, where the husband's the breadwinner and the woman stays at home and takes care of the family. There is no problem with that. The only problem I have with that is when the guy decides that he doesn't want this woman anymore, basically, but he did a divorce. He just cheats, right? And so when he cheats, she finds out, well, she doesn't want to be with him because she doesn't trust him now. And then she tries to get a divorce. Well, she can't, because now she has no means of taking care of herself, because all she's ever done is cook and clean and take care of kids. So it's very unbalanced. So we need to have young men and young women that respect the value of what marriage is supposed to be. It should be a lifelong commitment to each other and to their children, right? And if you have that and you both think that way, then you're going to work harder to have a good relationship and talk to each other and hold hands and be there for each other, so that you can have a bond that lasts 50 years like our grandparents did. But I don't see that anymore in young
Bruce,
people.
do you want to say something, or I have something to say?
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
So one of the problems is, for every one abusive husband, how many non-abusive husband good relationships do you think there were?
I think more than half were good.
I would say the majority. I would say probably 75 to 80%. But all of the idea and cultural zeitgeist around women's independence that you were just talking about was based around the idea of that small group, the 20% of shitty relationships.
Yeah.
So we remove religion, which was telling us to stay together.
Yeah.
Then we make abortion and birth control on demand, so women no longer have consequences for getting fucked. There's not the risk of pregnancy like it used to be, which was a horrible fucking thing. Therefore, women controlled the legs, so men would have to put a ring on it, or whatever they had to do. I mean, not to say people didn't have sex before then, but you know what I mean. Compared to today.
Yeah.
Now we're in that post world where family means nothing, marriage means nothing. Get that bag, girl. You do you. Ain't no need no man. Okay. Women did a day a few years ago where they had the Women's Day off, where supposedly all the women were not going to go to work that day, and society trucked along tickety-boo.
Yeah.
All the men don't go to work. Guess what happens to society? Grinds to a fucking halt immediately. Power plants start going offline. The water stops running, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All these horrible fucking things happen, and our civilization reverts to a dark age. Okay. So you were talking about, Elon talking about what happens with birth rate and all that. We were talking about immigration earlier. We are on the verge of what we would call a post-antiquity Now, post-antiquity refers to when the Roman Empire fell, and most of Europe that was controlled by the Roman Empire suddenly wasn't controlled by the Roman Empire anymore. If you study your history, it's not a great time. It's not a good period in the history of humanity. In fact, it stays pretty shitty up until the Black Death, when suddenly they have to do stuff. Well, if America falls, and I agree with Elon, it is the pillar at the base, it is the foundation, not just the pillar, it's the foundation of civil rights, democracy, all these types of things. We will enter a post-antiquity phase. I would like to be dead before that happens, because I do not want to live through that phase. I do not want to see that phase. It's horrific. And these fucking idiots, their Bohemian Groves and their World Economic Forums and their Bilderberg meetings and all the bullshit they do and their media that they control, run along as happily as they can, pushing humanity towards the edge of the cliff, like Disney executives pushing brooms at lemmings because they had heard lemmings jump off a cliff, and then when they didn't, well, we're here to shoot lemmings jumping off a fucking cliff. Let's push some lemmings off a fucking cliff. And that's where we're at.
Yep.
This is the darkest timeline. And I used to think we could just be positive and we could turn the light to the dark. I'm losing that battle, so I don't know how to fix it anymore. I'm open to suggestions.
Yeah, I think all of us are open to some suggestions. But yeah, my suggestion is that as parents, that we try to raise our kids to have morals, you know, to save what you have of yourself for someone you want to be with and spend time with the rest of your life with, but have the same needs and wants. What I see in what's sad is you see people swiping left and swiping right on an app on a phone instead of meeting someone in person, right? If you're interested in that person, you know, and you just say you're a couple states away from each other, you take turns going and traveling to see each other. Make effort to have some kind of connection. But if you don't have something in common with this person, you definitely shouldn't have a relationship with them. And just hooking up with them and then having a baby come along is not a reason to get married. I mean, it just isn't today. Just like Elon, he's got all these babies and he's not married to these women, but they agree on, you know, what they got to do for their child and that is taken care of. That type of thing is important because children do need parents, two parents, you know, both male and female influence on their lives, because that's another thing I feel has made a difference in a lot of the choices that young people are making, is because they either have one parent making most of the decisions in their life and they're not having a balance of what they need to know from the male side and from the female side. I was a tomboy, so I spent most of my time with my dad, but I love my mother. And as I got older, I spent more and more time with my mother and learned how to crochet and sew and do a lot more things. But when I was young, I did everything with my dad. I would go on trips. I'd go hunting with him. I went fishing with him. I learned all about all kinds of wild, crazy stuff that he would take me to junkyard, you know, all kinds of things. And I'm thankful that I had two parents and I had the influence of understanding a little more about men and getting to be a girl and learn girl things on top of that. And I think every child should have that, because I think boys should have relationships with their mother to help them be prepared to have relationships with women one day when they start dating. And I just think it's important for us to have both sides. And all these divorces and moms that have 5 baby daddies, you know, and stuff like that, it's just not a good thing for children to grow up and think that one day I'm going to have the love of my life and we're going to be married for 50 something years. You know, we don't have kids that think that stuff anymore. I did. I thought, like, one day I'm going to meet a guy and he's going to sweep me off my feet and I'm going to be married forever and I'm going to have a little house and I'm going to raise kids and I'm going to have a horse, you know, all that dumb stuff that young girls think, and young boys, some boys think that way. And that's all I ever wanted. And I thought I had that, but sometimes people end up finding out that that isn't what happens. No matter what you think you're putting into it, you have to have two people working at a relationship for it to work. And that's what I hope we get back to. I hope we get back to having parents that work together to raise their kids, so that their kids want to grow up and have families that raise their kids together. And that will fix a lot of the problems, I think. But that's just my point of view on that.
You know, what I found out is that the longer you wait to settle down, the harder it is to settle down. And it's just one of those things that if you find somebody, you know, you got to educate the youngsters out there. Like, if you find somebody that ticks all your boxes when you're 18, 20 years old, don't wait thinking there's something better. Just grab the train, get your ticket, get it punched, and just ride that out, because you're probably going to have a happier time with that than thinking you can market yourself as a 30-something or a 40-something. You're better off to start young, stay young, grow together. And I know maybe Bear disagrees with me on that.
Oh, no. I love the term ticket punch. I haven't had my ticket punched in a while, son.
And the thing is that I just feel
what does that mean, anyways? I was going to ask you the same thing.
Just accept the payment. The fact that the cost is, you know, you're not going to run the field. You're going to be loyal. You're going to have a life as a responsible adult, which means, yeah, you can usually look, but you're not encouraged to go fuck everything that moves and walks because you're a married man. You're able to pair bond better that way. And I know a lot of guys that were absolute, you know, whores in their early years, and they've gone through 3, 4, 5, 6 divorces. And their ability to pair bond is like, you know, to actually get to know somebody and appreciate them absolutely diminished.
I just meant I haven't been laid in a while, but that's okay. I'm glad you made it really deep.
But yeah,
the only thing that would ruin this is if I had a fucking fire alarm beep go off behind me. That's a mark of class when you're a YouTuber and you can't change your fucking fire alarms, your batteries.
Are we talking about Shadow?
No, I'm not. Why did you go immediately to Shadow?
Because that was the thing he was famous for a long time. Anyway, back to this point. No, I'm 54, turning 55 in a few months, and I've accepted that this is life now. I will not have a partner. I will not be living with someone. I will not be having kids. I've accepted all of these things. Now, I chose not to have kids. That was a choice I made. But that was a choice I made for my own reasons, and they were valid when I made them. Still valid now. I have a dear friend who told me that if it ever looks like I'm going to die alone, let her know, and I can move into her house and she'll take care of me so that way I don't die alone, which I think is sweet, but I think we would fucking kill each other, so that's not going to happen. But I just accept these things. It's there's no need to couple if you don't need to couple. Some people couple because they can't handle being alone. You got to get good with being alone. You have to learn how to take care of yourself. And that's one of the problems men who marry have. Invariably, wife dies, guy's gone within a couple of years. He doesn't last much longer because he doesn't know how to take care of himself because someone took care of him, right? And that's the way it is. Nothing wrong with that, by the way. Notice, though, guy dies, woman keeps going for another 15 years. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy how fucking women can just keep going. You guys are scary. Like Terminators. But being alone is not a curse. Being alone is not a problem. Sure, there are days where I'll be like, you know, get over it. I move on. I'm okay. And punching your ticket for men, well, as someone much wiser than me said, for a woman to get her ticket punched, it's a question of standards. For a man to get his ticket punched, it's a question of how much money he's willing to spend. And that's literally the reality of our world. I have a friend of mine. He's older than me by a couple of years. He has enough money that when he needs human companionship, he can go get human companionship and then have his life back without having to upset his entire world. Mm-hmm. Whereas when he was with his last woman, she completely upset his world. She took over. She demanded this. Everything was about her, and none of it was about him. It was all about her being happy. And as I've told my students when I was a teacher, and I tell anyone now who asks me the simplest question, How do you define love? Love is when you care about the other person's happiness more than your own, and they care about your happiness more than their own. And by trying to make each other happy, you make yourselves happy. And therefore, that is love.
Mm-hmm.
Rare.
I agree on that. But see, I don't want to be alone for the rest of my life. I want someone who wants the same thing as me, someone who wants to spend the rest of their life with someone as their best friend, as their confidant, their lover, all those things.
If someone walked into my world tomorrow that, as Bruce says, checked all the boxes,
Mm-hmm.
I'm good with that. But I'm not seeking it, I'm not pursuing it, and I'm not expecting it. That's the difference.
Yeah,
I'm okay if it never happens.
I'm not expecting it, but that's what I want. Okay.
Oh.
And the thing is that right now, all the stuff that I'm doing is for myself, for my healing, for my learning or whatever, just to be who I am. I don't know if that makes sense or whatever.
No, absolutely makes
sense. To me. It does to me. And I've talked about it. I'm not real open about a lot of that stuff and my intricate details or whatever. Only, I talk about that with my friends, but I do try to give some of it out because I want other people to realize that you're not alone if you feel that way, because there's other people that feel exactly like you do, Bear, or like me. Okay. And when we talk about it, it does help other people realize they're not alone. And I think it's important that people realize that, guess what? You're not the only person sitting in your home at night going, God, I'm so lonely. Because there's other people just like you. But that doesn't mean you run out and just take the very first person that jumps off the train, because you need right back where you were before you're in a situation that you're not going to be happy in. So to take your time because you're worth it, That's how I think. I feel like I'm worth the time and effort to wait for the one that's the right one. And that's what the advice I try to give others is to not rush into anything and to be patient, that it will work out sooner or later if the right one's there. If they're not, then you're happier with yourself because you're enjoying your life as you go one day at a time and not to rush into anything. So we'll see. We'll see for everybody what will happen in their lives. But okay, let's see what the next thing was I had ready to pull up because I thought that was interesting. Let's see, where is this? Is it this one? Yeah, that one's pretty deep, so I don't know if I'm ready for that yet. Okay, I have one about Trump. Do you want me to play that one, Bruce?
Yes.
The one where Trump is talking about Elon doing a good job?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
This kind of echoes my sentiments earlier on things. Whereas, just somebody comes out and just gives a small status update, but then he kind of goes into, his own left field.
Mm-hmm. And I'm liking that each of these people in the top of his, his group of people that he chose to work with him for the different department heads are all doing what he said. He said that he wanted them to give us updates and keep us informed on things that they've done or what they're planning on doing to the best of their abilities. So I've been happy with it so far. I mean, I'm not getting everything as fast as some people want it, but I've been happy with the actual talking to everyone about what they are doing.
Elon is doing a great job. He's finding tremendous fraud and corruption and waste. You see it with the USAID, but you're going to see it even more so with other agencies and other parts of government. He's got a staff that's fantastic. He's wanted to be able to do this for a long time, and if everybody else knew it was existent, but I think never so much when you look at USAID. That's a fraud. The whole thing is a fraud. Very little being put to good use. Every single line that I look at in terms of events and transactions is either corrupt or ridiculous. And we're going to be doing that throughout government. And I think we're going to be very close to balancing budgets for the first time in many years. I think we're going to be very close to, in addition to monies coming in from tariffs, et cetera, et cetera. But no, he's doing a very good job. I'm very happy with it.
Will you put Elon Musk up on the podium for us to ask him some questions, Mr. President?
Yeah, they wanted to talk to Elon afterward, but I'm happy with that. You know, just like when every time he sits down to write, assign executive orders, he does it with a massive amount of people watching him. And he talks about each one that he does. And I think one reason he's doing that is because what happened with our last president and what's happening right now with the auto-pinned crap, right? They can't accuse Trump of that, because if he's doing it the way he's doing it in public, every single thing he does when it comes to signing any of these executive orders, he's going to be able to squash that in the butt later on. Them say, oh, he secretly did this or he did that. He never was out in public. He never talked about it. Well, everything he's doing is public. And I like that. I don't think we're going to be able to have another president that's just going to be able to go in the basement and shut the door like Biden did, because people aren't going to accept that after having such 4 years of this is going to, I think, make it to where we're not going to accept it from the next person to just go in there and shut the door and never speak to anyone. I think that's going to make a big difference. What do you think?
This might be our last president ever. It might happen to where they rig it in 2028 or 2032 to where we can't get a vote in, and then we'll just have a dictator or governor for life.
You don't think that they'll have to take all our guns away from us before that happens?
They'll have to. There'll have to be something catastrophic happen for this to go away, because right now the majority of America does like what they're seeing with Trump, despite the fact that, like, you go on any service out there and you have people that are saying, oh my God, they have Trump remorse. I don't think that's true with the majority of the buying public. I think the majority of people, the ones that admitted to voting, kind of knew what they were getting because they enjoyed the last time he was in. And I think you have more people that are nowadays realizing that this is indeed the way that it should have been all along. And sadly, they don't use their voice enough to express their happiness. Mm-hmm. You have a lot of people that are on social media, blue sky shitholes like Reddit. They're talking about how terrible Trump is, and the majority of Americans don't feel that way. We see the deportations, the guys that are bad going off to Venezuela, and you see a judge trying to stop that, and we're like, hey, the plane's already near, tough shit. And majority of people are backing this. We want to see USAID defunded. We want to see the government get a trimmed budget. We want to see so many things that have been promised to us over the years. But Obama said they were going to clean up the government and they were going to fix the spending. That never played out.
And who did he put in charge of that?
I can't remember which person.
It was Biden.
Oh God.
That was his Doge person. So saying one thing is like me telling somebody, oh, here, give me that, and I'm going to balance the checkbook. Okay. Then I take the checkbook and I balance it, but I make sure that I put money to the side so that I can take money out without anybody knowing about it. See, because I can't be trusted. But the thing is, when you have multiple people looking at something, it's harder to hide money here and there when more and more people are able to have access to see what the records have. But when you have a controlled amount of people, only certain people are allowed to see in there. It's easier for those few people to take stuff out without others noticing it. That's one reason why I honestly believe that the people that threw the fits and the tantrums over them bringing Doge in to do this, they didn't want to see their checkbook go away. And we are the checkbook. And I don't want my money. If I could write on my check that I have to write in every year to the government, if I could write on it and say, I only want my money to go to this, that, and the other, how many people are going to write on there and say, I want my money to go to this stupid, frivolous, dumb thing that they're sending it to? They're not. Nobody's going to write a check, personal check. They wouldn't even write a check with their own money. you see, they took our money to do these dumb, shitty things for the lobbyists or for whatever reason
But
that they.
Janet, we have to spend $70 million on what type of menthol cigarette the hermit crab prefers. Don't you understand? I mean, this is science.
Well, it's clearly Cools.
Yeah, that's right. Wasn't it? That wasn't a commercial, wasn't it?
No, I don't know.
I remember
we
when I
don't
was
have
a
Cools
kid,
in
a
Canada.
turtle or something having a cigarette, smoking. Or
Joe
something.
Camel.
Oh, it was a camel, wasn't a turtle. Okay. Yeah, I can't remember.
They
I
had to
do
get rid of
remember.
Joe Camel because Joe Camel was so popular in the 1980s that kids recognized him as the number 2 most popular cartoon character out there, just right behind Donald Duck or Mickey Mouse or something from Disney. It was ridiculous.
But I do remember when I was living in Spokane, Washington, there was these funny commercials because we had just moved back from the Philippines, and there was these commercials, and it was like a person running through the woods with a giant can opener, and they were chasing beer cans or beer bottles that were saying Rainier or something like that. It was like Rainier beer or something like that.
Rainier
Funny
beer.
like that.
Wow.
So I just remember that when I remember watching that on TV or something, and I was asking my mom about it, and she was like, "It's just a commercial. It's not real," or something like that. I remember saying that to me. But it's funny what we remember from when we were kids, how something would trigger your memory or whatever. I think it's really interesting. Well, is there anything that either one of you guys want to bring up? Since I've been bringing up all
Country's being run by a prime minister none of us wanted. Used to be the head of the Bank of England, used to be the head of the Bank of Canada, and is not a politician, is not anyone good. Bankers are evil, and that's just the way it is. And now he's running our country, and because of your guy being a fucking bully about tariffs, it's stirred up all this Canadian pride, so we're going to wind up with another fucking liberal government because of this bullshit. We were so close to breaking the liberal hold on Canada, but Trump had to start his tariff bullshit.
Well, I'm hoping it falls
I love
through.
the man. I love Trump. I think he's a great guy, but that tariff shit, he's out to fucking lunch on that. He's lost his mind.
Well, we'll find out very soon what's going to happen.
No, we're finding out in this country right now.
No, I mean, we are too. We're going to find out whether it was a good decision or not. Because, as it unrolls, we'll find out whether, wow, we're in deep or, whatever is going to happen. We'll see. But, we can't control everything that our governments do. You're right.
And the other thing I want to say is if Europe wants to fight Russia over Ukraine, go ahead, have a good time. Please leave us out of it.
Yeah, that was something that was one of 2 things today that I thought was hilarious. Actually, 3 things. The Canadian Prime Minister came out and said, "We're done talking to America," and I wanted to hear a Canadian's perspective of this. I think I just got it completely.
Not what he said, by the way. Once again, you guys do not listen to the words said and then make an opinion out of it.
No,
he said the relationship between Canada and America appears to be over. And that's what he's referring to. He's referring to the last 100+ years of us being best friends and brothers and having mutual trade agreements and finding ways to work things out appear to be over. That's what he was referring to. Now, whose fault it is, irrelevant. It's here. We have to deal with it, and we have to get beyond it now. And that's where we're going to be stuck.
The other thing was Europe is proudly trying to go into war with 27 or 32 main battle tanks into the Ukraine, and to fight Russia. I find that kind of funny because the UK doesn't have a production set up to fund, to get maintenance parts into a wartime scenario, and here they are bravely going off to fight Russia. And then they're encouraging, hey, we're America, we're just going to keep the battle warm for you. Can't wait for you to join up, you little losers. And I thought that was hilarious. Like, we're done. We're fucking not going to get involved with this. That was funny item number 2. And the third funniest thing I heard was Keir Starmer promising no more ninja swords in 6 months in the UK. No. That was I did not realize that the ninja swords were so cheap and easy to acquire. I want I want to go to the UK and buy a fucking ninja sword before they're outlawed.
You can just order it online. But go ahead, Bear.
I want to address what Hardwick Benthau just said.
Oh.
President Trump uses tariffs as a bargaining chip. If the Canadian government had agreed to his terms like they should have, it would all be over. Really? So we should just do whatever America says and suck our own assholes. Is that it? We are a sovereign nation, sir. We are not your pet. We are your fresh water source. You keep your shit up, and then you're going to invade us because you need the water. But this idea that we should have just done what he said, no, we should have had a conversation, which we didn't because Trudeau is a fucking moron. And now, what's his name? Carbon Tax Carney is proven to be just as bad. But the idea that we should have just as a nation rolled over and taken it in the ass is absolute absurdity. Well, fentanyl's coming in from Canada. Really? Illegal guns are coming in from your country to ours and causing murder in our streets. Quit acting like, America's this innocent child and, we're all the bad guys. No, everybody's fucked. Everybody's doing stupid shit. And the only way we're going to solve it is to have conversations, not bully each other into submission.
But I agree with you. When it comes to your country should make the decisions for your own country. I don't think any country should make any decisions for anybody's country except their own. That's why I believe in America first. Not so much it has to be Trump, but I believe that we should make decisions for ourselves, just like I believe your country or any other country should have the right to make decisions for themselves, period. And that's the thing, though. You're an American. You should be America first. I'm a Canadian. I should be Canada first. But we're also North Americans, and we should be talking to each other. And that's what's not happening. And that is 100% the fault of Trudeau trying to act like he was a big man on his way out the door. Yeah. Had he just sat down and talked to Trump and not pulled his, because Trudeau's a fucking cunt. Like, I'm sorry, he's an absolute useless human being. He's a puppet. He is something that basically is controlled by those around him, and those around him wanted this problem. So now we have this fucking problem. Mark Carney is an absolute useless fucking creature. He has no business being in charge of this fucking country. He is not a good choice for Canada moving forward. He is not at all going to make our situation better. Clearly, by the way, he's acting about the tariffs as well. Now, if we can get Mexico and Canada and the U.S. to sit down at a fucking table and have a real conversation about what the needs and expectations of each other as a partnership in the world is, we might be able to create something of value where America benefits, Canada benefits, and Mexico benefits, but all three of us give a little to the other because that's how you negotiate. But TDS is a real thing, and Trudeau had TDS. He had hardcore TDS, but he didn't seem to have any problem with Xi Jinping ordering him around, did he?
No.
He seemed to be just fine with China telling him what fucking time it was. Right? This is bad. Carney is a banker, and he's a global banker. Would you trust a global banker with anything to do the right thing over what is best for them?
I trust gas station sushi more than I trust a banker.
Exactly. Their entire world is around making profit. How much money can they make? Not how much of a good person they can be, not how much they can increase the quality of life for the people underneath their system, just how much money can they fucking make. And Carney is that. We are fucked in this country. But that's okay, because you're fucked in your country too. So let's see if the North American experiment can collapse in on itself.
We're all fucked, basically.
20, 30 nations on this continent, just like it should be based on population sizes compared to the old world. Canada is 5 countries sharing a space. America is 20 countries sharing a space. Mexico is more of a united fucking country than we are.
Yeah, they are.
TDS, Trump derangement syndrome, sir. The mentality that is basically, if Trump says breathing is good, the person holds their breath until they pass out because Trump said it was Trump. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we got plenty of them here, believe me. But this next thing I thought was pretty good. I wanted to play it, and I like Jesse. I do watch a lot of his stuff, so I wanted to share this with everybody. I don't know if you've heard it, but I also like her. She's awesome. And so let's see if you guys have heard this.
Because of these new releases, it's conclusive that the CIA was running Oswald, running him. And he also said that he doesn't think all of the documents have been released. Is that your understanding too?
Yeah, so we're actually in the process of tracking down 2 specific documents. And also, too, Jesse, I would like to actually tell the American people, it was made aware to me this evening that NBC actually has a video that's never been seen before. We're actually going to be sending a letter requesting that from NBC because it allegedly shows Oswald near the vehicle when the assassination took place, which means that he couldn't have been the shooter. So, again, we're tracking down all this information. But look, there's even a CIA document that came out that Mr. Morley pointed out that actually said that the CIA never bought the lone gunman theory. And so I think the American people had an inclination as to what we were saying, but we never had the hard evidence until now. And so it's important to note that in a free and fair society, how could you operate or have an agency operating in the shadows? And so kudos to President Trump, also Director Radcliffe and Tulsi Gabbard for pushing for this transparency. It is going to be generational changing that they've done this. And we hope to bring forward legislation to ensure that this never happens again for future generations to come.
You're saying NBC has been keeping this tape of Oswald under wraps?
Correct. In fact, Director Stone actually told us that he was showed this tape, that it was a secondary copy, and that he said that this could blow open the entire JFK investigation. What I will also tell you, though, Jesse, is he said that NBC's been very, very much so guarding this tape. And so I believe that that tape belongs to the American people. We are going to be sending a letter asking for that tape. And I would encourage everyone to ask NBC to release that tape to the public. It's important, not just for our investigations, but so the American people know the truth as to what happened with John F. Kennedy.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. It's nice to see so many people fighting to get certain things out so that people can make their own decisions. And when you have competition, that's good. Competition is always good because that means you, as a consumer, get the best deal. If you, are frugal and go through all the competition. So we'll see what happens with this, but I'm interested to find out what this all entails with all the other documents that they've been releasing. Did you see that before, Bruce?
No, first time watching it.
So, what do you think about it? Anna Paulina Luna. A lot of the guys are like, she's hot, whatever. But
she's spearheading a lot of initiatives going into the discussion about her and what she brings to the table. But in all honesty, I honestly show me. Don't go on Fox News, and just fucking deliver and then say, oh yeah, by the way, we did this. Do you remember these guys in cuffs? This is what we went after. And therefore, I'm going to say that if we
see it, then you believe it.
Yeah, once I get a chance to fucking view it, I'll be happy. But don't give me this wish list of shit because I'm still waiting on the Epstein list, and I hate saying that or hate repeating that all the fucking time every week. But you promised me something. I'm not getting it. I mean, there was a lady on Fox News talking about how when she worked at ABC, they had the files for everything, and the Crown stopped the release of information because Prince Harry's part of the fucking situation. Can't talk about that.
Prince Andrew.
Same.
Yeah.
Fucking.
It's not the same.
They're two different schlups, but I don't give a shit. It's people that have far more weight, influence, and money than me or any one of you in the chat. God bless all of us. We will ever know. We'll never have that level of fuck off influence.
Just, look into how many people have died around the Kennedy thing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be going on Fox News and crowing about it until I had the fucking smoking gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do that first.
I agree with you. The thing is that I'm seeing a lot of people coming out and on all these different apps still saying that I've seen this and I saw that and I heard this and I heard this tape and blah, blah, blah. And I just say the same thing. I'm not going to share that link until I get something, for it to prove it. Like way back when I was talking about the laptop, I remember a bunch of YouTubers sharing videos of Hunter smoking crack in bed and then snorting coke up a girl that looked like she might have been 12's ass. All that, and everybody was saying, "Oh, those are fake. Those are computer AI generated, and all this bullshit." All this stuff. But these were people that I'd been talking to and been friends with for 5 years, on YouTube, and I've never seen them do this or that I thought was fake. You know what I mean? And then I got to see some of these videos, and I was like, "Holy shit!" That looks pretty real to me. And then him smoking a crack pipe, and then after all that time, them saying that was all bullshit. Then it comes out in court and they're pulling out all these documents and stuff and showing what's on the computer. And I was like, see, they were right all along. They had video of it and they were showing it, but they were told they were conspiracy theorists. They're crazy. They're making up shit. They're working for Russia. It was just all this bullshit. And a lot of people could see right through it. And I still see that today, just like now we're seeing past a lot of this bullshit and expecting facts. And that's what we should have. Just like I said, I'm hoping the younger generation sees some of the things that happen that are going to unfold in the next 4 years under this administration, and that they don't settle for less than what we've been able to get this time. And maybe it will be better the next 4 years, and then the next 4 years after that, if people demand facts. And if they get the facts and it comes out, and then they look at it and say, okay, yeah, it sucks that it happened, but at least I got the facts and I know the truth. And that's it. And we can live with it. Okay. But I'm not going to enjoy having another administration come in that never tells us anything. I don't want to see that. So
well, my biggest problem with that, Janet, is that I'm fearful that this is a fluke. These 4 years are going to be the only 4 years we ever have anything like this happen. And as soon as the Trump era is over, no matter what we vote, the agenda takes over again, and we're stuck with another 8, 12, 20, 30 years of absolute cronyism in the office. A bunch of Dick Cheney-esque motherfuckers getting in power, and we're gonna benefit Americans and hardworking Americans. You're the first people, and pretty much everything reverts back to pre-2016. If you remember 2012, while there was a lot of people upset about little Barack Obama being president, I experienced the biggest period of growth in my life during that time because I chose to go oil and gas. And we were making money hand over fist because there was no other way to make money at the time in middle class. Or get out of low class to middle class was to be in oil and gas. And I did that. I fucking followed the money, and I kept working my ass off. And the thing is that a lot of people didn't want to do that. They didn't want to partake in that because it meant a lot of time spent away from family, friends, having to develop new base of operations, etc. And after 7 years of that, I was seeing things so clearly with politics, money, lobbyists, all of this garbage. We have a situation in our country that nobody wants to fix because the money train must continue. And Bear, he's looking at this from an outsider as I spill all this stuff out, but he's just, more than likely he's going to think like that's an atypical American right there. That's somebody that they have a chance to go do something. They find out like, oh, wow, this is a lot of fucking work. And if you stay with it, you get good with it. But not a lot of people want to stay at that millstone and watch a half decade just disappear. I don't know how you feel, Bear, about it, but I know that I can't get that time back. The money now, 10 years, 12 years away from it is irrelevant. And I earned nothing that I was able to transit from 2012 to 2025. I have a new stack of miniatures. My life didn't improve that much. A lot of people don't want to try that. They don't want to fucking push themselves.
Mm-hmm. And then they have to live with the aftermath of it. See?
Yeah, and that's the other part about it. You know, your
Yeah, I
family.
can tell you right now that me, no matter what happens in my life, from now until when I die or whatever, each night that I go to bed, I try to be happy with my life and be thankful for what I have. So if I die in my sleep, guess what? I'm going to end on where I belong, because this is the choices I've made to put me where I'm at. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I just wish more people could have that, to where, you know, I'm lonely. I have a lot of things that I wish I had, but it hasn't been all bad. You know, I got my kids that I love, and I like where I live now. I love being close to my sisters. Get to see my dad, you know, not as often as I wish I did. But, you know, I have a lot of good things because I've made changes in my life to make my life a little better. And we all have to be responsible to some degree about where we end up. Not because we made bad choices, but because we tried to fix the bad mistakes that we made. You know what I mean? By trying to accept that we were not perfect and do the best we can with what we have to make it better. Just like what Bear was talking about earlier, that he's accepted that, you know, this might be what he has for the rest of his life, but he's not quitting. He's still working towards goals. He's writing. He's doing a lot of things that he enjoys. He has 2 cats that he loves. He's sharing his life with them.
But
But
you like superhero RPGs. Have you met my
making
friend
his
Bear,
life
the
as
Gen
best
X
he
GM?
can. Just like you, what you're doing right now, painting, is something you enjoy. So you are spending time in your life doing things that you like to do. So as long as we do that and we try to get as much enjoyment out of our lives on a daily basis, then we're not losing. You see what I mean? That's how I try to look at my life. So to me, I still have hope that tomorrow is going to be a better day than it was today, even though today wasn't as horrible as it could be for someone else, you know, that type of thing. But we are where we are because sometimes our choices that we've made in our lives puts us where we are. And that we have to say, well, yeah, I did make that choice. So, you know, this is where I'm at. And when more people do that, I think honestly, I really do believe that our world will get better if more people take responsibility for themselves. But the sad truth is I know a lot of them aren't going to. So, you know.
Yeah, but when you get told pull yourself up by your bootstraps, but as you're doing it, someone's kicking you in the ass from behind and stealing your lunch money.
Yeah.
It's reasonable for a human to eventually go, fuck this, I'm out.
Yeah.
It
I understand
happens.
that. I know. I've been there.
I will never subscribe to the, you know, just take responsibility for your own life and you'll be fine. It's like, no. Maybe 30, 40 years ago, sure. But in the modern scenario we're in today, no. As George Carlin said, man, the table is, you know, the game's stacked against you, the table's broken, you're fucked. There's no fairness, there is no chance. It is hard. It is hard. I hear from so many publishers who are all saying the same thing, which is, I think this is my last product. I think this is my last Kickstarter. I think this is the end of my company, because they have fucked us so hard between inflation, exchange rates, tariffs, fucking rent, home prices, food prices. They have fucked us. And here we are still acting like it's our fucking fault. We didn't make the right choices. We have to live with the ramifications. No. We have hit a point where we're done with that. They have fucked us. They have treated us like shit. And when we stood up and said, we are not taking this anymore, they called us racists. They called us phobes. They called us everything under the sun and then opened the floodgates and brought in as many people as they could, hoping to replace us. Well, in Canada, they found out the hard way. Most of them came, saw how hard life was in Canada. As soon as they got the passport, they fucked off back to their own countries again. Huge amounts of Canadian immigrants did that. Why? Because the way we live here is no longer the envy of the world. The way we live in North America is no longer something to aspire to. They come here, they see how we live. I spent 15 years teaching new Canadians, over 3,000 people from every part of the fucking globe, and I heard the same story from all of them, which is, how the fuck do you live like this? What do you mean? You pay for everything. Everything has a fine or a fee or a charge attached to it. Your fucking pay is getting cut to pieces by taxes and this and that and the other thing, and you guys still act like you have a great quality of life? You don't. And it's true. Because if I run out of food tomorrow, I got one or two friends I can count on. But the guys I knew from Cameroon and Kenya used to tell me, if I run out of food tomorrow, the whole community is there to make sure I'm fed, and I'll work and help them dig in ditches or tending to their gardens or whatever I have to do. But the community will take care of each other. We don't have community in North America. We have individuality. We believe in the individual. Well, without the center, nothing can hold. That is a reality. That is physics. That is spiritualism. That is everything. Without a center, nothing can hold. We've removed the center. We've created a donut society, and now it's breaking apart. And everyone in the center going, hey, if we just all come back here and talk for a minute, and just are being told that we are fucking fence sitters, and you're not picking a side. No, we're not. Because you have a couple of good ideas and some bad ones. He has a couple of good ideas and some bad ones. Why don't we all see if we get the good ideas together and get rid of the bad ideas and maybe build something again like we once did? All right. That ends my rant.
That's okay. But one thing, I get made fun of by my own family, some of my sisters, because, I had, like today, I collected 23 eggs from my nests for 2 days of laying. Okay. And guess what? I'll end up giving most of them away because I can't eat all of them. And people say, why are you giving them away? You should sell them for $4 a dozen, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, because I know people that really need them. And I would like for them to have fresh eggs because it's healthier for them than them eating, whatever else that they might be eating. And they just tell me that I'm too naive. I'm gullible. They make fun of me for it. But guess what? I'm still doing it because guess what? It makes me feel good about me because I have something that someone else doesn't, and I can share it with someone else, and I do. So,
you might be rich, but you ain't egg rich. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but so I've had people make fun of me my whole life because I was a nerd, basically, because I liked comics and I liked things that they thought was dumb. So I guess to me, almost in a way, I wear my being picked on because of my choices in my life like a badge of honor. You know what I mean? And I look at it differently than what other people might if they were being made fun of for something that they were doing. So, I admit I'm not normal. I don't make normal what other people like.
Normal does not exist. Normal is a myth.
Well, you know what I mean.
No, I'm telling you, normal is an illusion. It is the way they control us by the concept of normalcy. The idea that if we all behave one way, we're going to be normal. Fuck, I watch a lot of, I don't know if you guys, Mystery Science Theater 3000, I don't know if you guys watch that, but they used to watch a lot of those 1950s industrial shorts, your family and stuff like that. And there's like, there's one where it's like they're talking about fitting in. Yeah. And there's this girl, her hair's a little messy and her clothes are off, and oh my God, no guy wants her, blah, 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 blah. And then they cut to this shot of a crowd. And everybody's dressed exactly the same, looks exactly the same, except this one girl who looks a little different. She's wearing high heels. She's got maybe a leopard print thing on. And like, oh my God, how dare she? Right? So we're stuck in a point where we've become conformist individualists, which is the most fucking double think item I can put in my brain right now, but
Mhm.
that's what they're creating in Western civilization. You're an individual just like everybody around you. So you can dress how you want, you can do whatever you want, but you got to think like everybody else. And as long as you all think the same way, we're okay with you wearing pajamas to work. We don't give a fuck, you know?
And they're doing it.
That is the problem.
Mhm.
That is a huge problem. And that is the death of our civilization.
Yeah, and that's why I'm a huge problem, because I don't do that. I don't fit into that group. Yeah, go ahead.
Bear, do you remember the start of those shorts? They were often paid. Brought to you by GM. Brought to you by General Electric. Brought to you by Maytag.
Encyclopedia Britannica. A lot of them were Encyclopedia Britannica.
Oh my God. So much Encyclopedia Britannica. Yeah, those industrial shorts off Mystery Science Theater 3000 are classic. And I think me and Janet need to review a couple of those. I got one from Hormel, how the meat's made.
Oh my God, the Hormel one's hilarious.
I love Hormel.
We've watched a couple of them.
I'll have to boot that up one of these Sundays, and you and I just have a couple of laughs. I'll break out some popcorn. It is so good. And if you guys aren't familiar with what Bear's talking about, there used to be a wonderful show called Mystery Science Theater 3000 back in the 90s. It was originally a Minnesota-based program, made it big, hit Comedy Central, and they made seasons of it where guys would do voiceovers. And then after 2005, it came off the air.
Earlier than that. It was started in the 80s and it went on into the 90s, and then they had the movie, and then it got canceled somewhere in the early 2000s.
Okay.
Now it got canceled, but now they have riff tracks. Pardon me, carrying on the tradition. You have the new Mystery Science Theater 3000, which is garbage, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, don't get involved with anything after like 2015, like most brands. But it's riff tracks is where it's at. They have a lot of the older stuff there available, and you can really enjoy yourself watching that with some friends and a few beers.
Well, I have brought up everything that I was planning on bringing up tonight, and so
My stuff's so important.
It's been over two and a half hours. So I was going to ask if you have anything coming up on your channel, Bear, that you'd like to share with everyone.
No,
and
not
then
really.
you too, Bruce. Is there anything you want to share with everybody before we go?
Go ahead, Bruce. I'm good.
But I would recommend everybody subscribe to Bear and watch his live streams of his superhero RPG, because I'm valuing his simple system he's got. I really like it. I think it works for his type of theme. I think if you like superhero games, if you used to play the old Marvel Superheroes RPG, you'll feel right at home listening to this stuff. And he has a really good Patreon. I would recommend that for $5 a month. His Patreon is good stuff to read. He gives you a daily email. He gives you an update as to what's going on. He lets you see behind the curtain. If you want somebody that loves a complicated system that's kind of bloated, and I'm not trying to kick my own system. My own system is crunchy. I don't feel it's bloated. But the combat does take a little time. It takes less time to do this than in Pathfinder. Unfortunately, tomorrow is our Pathfinder game. Yeah, it's 17th level. I get what I pay for.
Sucker!
But, I mean, some people do like, an hour and 20-minute combat rounds going around.
Exactly. Some people like when a round takes 2 hours.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, some people also like having a barbarian that can rack up 170 hit points in a fucking critical hit. And I gotta give Chris credit for that, because he actually rolled a fucking natural 20 for once. And he did it 2 times in a combat and got rid of my big fucking red dragon. And that's okay. That's what's supposed to happen, just not so quickly. If you want to watch that, if you want to hear Bruce complain about a bloated system while his players are at the table, tune into my channel tomorrow. Janet will be echoing it on her channel too, I'm sure.
Yeah, I will. But I shared your YouTube channel, Bear, in the chat.
Thank you. You're very
And
kind.
what I want to make sure everyone knows, if you go to Bear's channel, to make sure you look at the information on his channel, so that you can see what other channels he might have, and click on them, check them out. You can't judge a book by its cover. That's what I always say. But
This is about as political as you get, isn't it, Bear? On
Sorry,
this
what?
channel? This channel here is about as political as you get, isn't it?
I don't get political on my channel.
Yeah. So I'm going to tell you, like, if you want to escape from politics, Bear has a really good channel. Subscribe to it.
Thank you. You're very kind. And if you like more politics, subscribe to Bruce, because Bruce could be giving you a cookie recipe in the middle of it, go off about something. So that's always fun.
yeah, he does. He does. He's very random. But
God damn it, I hate the frog's water. It makes them gay.
That's what makes Bruce Bruce.
So makes Bruce Short Bus. Ooh.
We are going to be doing a movie on Sunday.
The Last Unicorn.
Yeah, The Last Unicorn.
I've never seen that movie.
It's really, really good. It's a cartoon, but or anime, whatever you
I
want to call
should
it.
join you guys for this one just for fun, because I got nothing else going on Sunday. But I'm just like, The Last Unicorn. I've lived this long without.
Well,
seeing
just
it
look at the
again.
trailer. Just watch the trailer. If you're not interested, you don't have to. I
It's
mean,
for
I
girls.
left. I
It's a
went
cartoon
to
for girls.
I went to
Bear's echoing my
Florida,
sentiments about
and
this
they
film.
watched a movie that I did not want to watch. After I saw the trailer, I was like, "Thank God, I'm taking a vacation."
What movie
So
was that?
they watched it. What was the name of that movie? The
Hundreds of
200
Beavers.
Hundreds of Beavers or something like that. And I was
Hundreds
like,
of Beavers was funny. It was one of the best slapstick movies I've ever seen. And I wish more people could understand that was done for like $6, and they did a very good job with $6. Very impressive movie, very funny movie, but it won't get made again.
well, I'm glad you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah, Last Unicorn's available on Tubi if you want to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Tommy. I know you stepped in earlier, but others were talking. Didn't want to interrupt him. Good to see you, sir. Love your live streams. I got to see him and Vincent and Tina and all the other gang talking about old toys, and oh man, tear came down my eye.
Mm-mm.
Hardwick, didn't know that. You have a chapter and verse for us?
I didn't know that at all.
I'd be more than happy to look it up. I'll take a book. I can research from there.
I hope my eye feels better tomorrow. It looks like it's swelling even more, so I'm gonna have to put an ice pack on it tonight. So man, I really jabbed myself good. But I just want to say thank you to both of you for hanging out with me. And that Ruben had to leave earlier. Here, everybody read that in the chat.
No, can't make
No,
me.
you don't have to read it, but I'm saying if you want to find out about unicorns supposed to be in the Bible, that's what he's sharing with us.
That's awesome.
So I think it's important. And yeah, here you go.
Crazy
Hardwick.
stuff.
Yeah,
Also,
there's some crazy
that's
stuff in there.
murder and giants and wizards and magic and lots of crazy shit.
Yep. You can walk on water.
Well, the Giants has been hinted at numerous times. Unfortunately, Smithsonian Institute gets there before anybody does any concrete evidence, etc., etc.
And if you like conspiracy theory stuff, aliens, ghosts, all that shit, there's a channel called Yet Another Paranormal Podcast, YAP. It's me and my buddy GM Cody, and we do it every now and then on a Sunday where we talk
Why?
about 4 episodes.
Why do you not have Raven with you on this?
Because we're having rational conversations.
But
I love Raven to tears, but Raven is... There's two types of people that you have to deal with when you're into this stuff. The I believe everything, I believe nothing. Raven's on the I believe everything side. Love her to tears. Love Raven. Would fight a bear for Raven, being a bear. But no. Cody and I try to have rational conversations about stuff, as opposed to just, look, I used to have a show where I would basically watch ghost compilation videos, right? Nuke's Top 5, and Sir Chills, and all these guys. And I got so tired of, like, clearly it's a fucking, bug on the camera lens. Is it a spirit trying to get back to the afterlife? Like, Jesus Christ, can you stop overselling all this shit? And the worst one was the one that broke me and made me stop. I think you were there that night, Bruce. Was a video selection, and then they cut to the video. A man from Australia was visiting a cathedral, and when he heard something, and the guy pans his camera up, and a dude in a sheet goes running across the gallery. And the narrator goes, was it a spirit from the other side? No, it's clearly his buddy being an asshole. Why are you trying to sell this shit? And that's when I just realized, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to be a debunker. I'm going to call it like I see it moving forward. And Cody's the only person I can do that with.
I tended to believe more than, I should probably. But I really have a hard time with a official TV show that will do 26 episodes a year on almost finding Bigfoot. And at the end of every episode, we had everything going on, and the noise meters were recording stuff, and we saw the blurry shit in the woods, and we got that footage of all the blob squatches, but we just didn't find Bigfoot this time. It feels really bad. And they fucking repeat that every episode, where they almost find Bigfoot, or somebody was throwing rocks.
Showed up. Hey, Connell.
Well, I watched a documentary, and it was on, I think it was on the Discovery Channel, and it was about mermaids, and they had underwater footage supposedly, and they were showing all this stuff, and I was just loving the whole show. And then at the very, very end, they show a supposedly washed up, mermaid laying on the beach. And that's when the mermaid jumped up towards the camera. It was like a thrill scare or whatever. And that's when I realized I was duped the whole time. I watched the whole thing thinking they were leading up to something actually found or something. And it was fake. The whole thing was fake. So I was bummed out because I really thought it would be cool if they did find something that was like a mermaid. But they didn't. It was fake. But they did a great job at keeping me entertained through the whole thing. So it was a really good show. But I was a little bummed at the end when I realized it was just all fake.
There's only 3 channels I will view that have footage. Only 2 channels I'll view that have footage about things, because Dread Captures had one channel which had footage of cryptid stuff, and it just got more and more outlandish, and I felt like,
my God, that guy. And he would do like 45-minute videos. It's like, dude, can you fucking cut this down, please? Like, I mean,
yeah.
Jesus Christ.
And then you've got the Y-Files, which the Y-Files is pretty good, and AJ likes to back everything up. He likes to show videos and footage, and he doesn't.
The believers love to shit on him, man.
The believer, I don't know why they like to shit on him. He's
a CIA plant. He's a plant. Don't you know he's part of the disinformation? Don't you know? It's amazing how he gets called part of the disinformation and woo-woo. Like, it's amazing.
The anti-Semitic community loves to beat on him too, which makes me pissed. It's like he's got enough of a fucking hill to climb. You guys got to jump into this shit too. And I think his Hecklefish character, I think it's great. But a lot of people don't feel that same way, and I just don't understand why. Like, this is obviously the guy is very talented, and you're shitting on him. He's one of the best channels in the paranormal cryptid field, and they just shit on him all the time. The only thing I haven't seen him cover, which I believe is a real event, is the footage from 2009 or 2008 Turkey, where they had a UFO come visit 2 nights in a row, and there's like a giant fucking window at the cockpit front of the UFO, and you can see little aliens moving around on the inside. It's fucking great.
Yeah, I've seen that footage. It's questionable. Turkey is famous for their bullshit. Okay, the Turks love. Okay, I had to explain this to DM James one time. I used to work with a lot of First Nations people, and one of the things First Nations people, for Native North Americans, love to do is tell white people bullshit stories to see how much they can get the white person to believe. Okay, they like, and here in Canada they call it fucking with whitey. They love it. It's like a sport. It's like Australians and drop bears. The more shit they can get you to believe, the happier they are because it's like you're a fucking moron. Well, Turks love to do weird shit and make up stories and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, they're wonderful people who treat cats like fucking gods. And, you don't harm a cat in Turkey. You'll get fucked if you do. So that UFO video, I watched it and I was like, and I believe in extraterrestrial life and UFO. I believe. But that one, I was like, no, something feels wrong here. Something feels just off on this one. Like I just couldn't get into it. I would love AJ to take a stab at it. That'd be great to see what he does.
I would love to. I agree with that. There's other videos out there that AJ did that he brings a lot of light to his subject. He goes really hard on a lot of things, and I appreciate that about him. Slapped Ham is the other one, and he doesn't sensationalize shit as bad as others. But
he's gotten bad. He's played some videos that are just kind of like, dude, clearly that's not what you think that is. Like the one that drives me up the wall is whenever they show security camera footage. Now you can see the head has disappeared. Is it a headless person? Is it the ghost of someone? No, it's fucking artifacting. Everybody who works in security knows this. Everybody who works in security knows what artifacting is like. It's the problem because you got to understand, unless it's like a NASA facility, they're not putting in the best fucking security cameras. They're putting in what they need to put in for their insurance requirement. And it's usually 10 years old and shit, has a digital zoom and nothing artifacts like fucking digital zooms. He's gotten lazy. Nukes is getting lazy. They're all getting lazy. That's why I like Mindseed TV because they were faking shit, but they were faking it good. It was like watching a little movie. It was like, oh, this is kind of fun, Now it's like, I don't know.
There is
That's what the mermaid one was. It was faked, but really well done.
Yeah, I like. There's a channel that's dead because the owner died, but the channel is called Street Cap One, and I believe you can still find him on YouTube. I don't know why, but he's still there. They haven't taken it down, but he has a lot of fun captures he's got off various satellite feed, or he'll find an old photo from NASA's archives, and he zooms in on questionable shit. And if you're just bored, just go to Street Cap One and just start browsing his videos. Real nice guy. Sad that he's gone now, but the only reason why I discovered him was because Tyler, the spouse abuser from Secure Team 10, highlighted his channel a couple times because he was just Street Cap One was just on top of some really good feed, and nobody really talks about that. And the guy just kind of passed away natural causes in his 60s. Good guy. I follow a lot of paranormal stuff, but typically it's just like people that read stories or accounts, and they have their receipts there within the links usually. Beyond Creepy, if he doesn't put the link in there for where you can find it, he'll tell you what book you have to go research and where you can take accounts from. He's pretty good.
Canadian. Bedtime Stories is a channel I like too.
What do you think about Scary Fairy Godmother?
Don't know her.
Okay.
I never heard of her.
If you are ever bored, Paranormal Scholar is good, and kind of a Scary Fairy Godmother channel does like real life encounters with the Fae folk. So that one there, they never do footage. She just reads accounts. But if you like that sort of thing, she plays into the theme. She does quite a bit of work researching the stories.
You ever watch The In-Between?
Say again?
You ever watch The In-Between?
Yes.
She's cool. I like her.
She was on with What Lurks Beneath not long ago.
Oh, yeah? Oh, cool.
Yeah.
What does she talk about?
Various stuff, cryptids, UFOs, ghosts, Mount Shasta. But the thing is that she reads like she performs for you, basically.
Yeah.
She'll be like, so then Bob is running back to the truck. Like she gets really into the way she tells her story. She's really fun.
She's fun.
Really good. I might have to check that one out.
Good job.
I like her. I think she's got a lot of talent. She's not a young spry thing, but she's fucking good. She's got some serious talent to her.
So there are good channels, and there's a show called Yet Another Paranormal Podcast. It's just starting out. Get it on the ground floor. It's a really fun show. You should check it out.
Cigar DM's like, nope, don't fuck with the Fae. Nope.
He was raised in Ireland. You got to forgive them. You know, they fetal alcohol syndrome goes deep in my culture.
You know, Bear, have you ever thought about covering all this shit, the Fae encounters from World War II?
No, because it's all horse shit.
You think so?
Yes. There are no pixies, there are no fairies, there are no leprechauns, there are no ghosts, there are no dragons, there are no demons, there are none of these things. These things are just superstition. And the one thing, so when I was a kid, my grandfather taught me to always research. He said, always research, always research, always research. So when I was looking into ghosts, I noticed something was happening. The ghost stories were all, I had a friend, I saw a thing, someone did a thing, I heard a story. There's never any proof. And when they investigate, they can never find irrefutable proof, right? It's just impossible. But then I looked at the UFO side of things, and I noticed there was people going, look, I'm a nuclear technician. This is what happened. Here's the radar reports. Here's this, here's that. And the people debunking were going, these people are crazy. They saw Venus. And they were very dismissive of it. And I said, that's way more interesting to me, because clearly something's going on, and they're being shut down by other people. That's interesting to me. Ghost stories, please. I grew up in Eastern Canada, in the extension of the fucking Appalachians, where they come up into Canada, and we had ghost ships and haulers and haunted houses and all that bullshit, and none of it's real. It's all just folklore.
The thing that I feel is probably bullshit is the new phenomenon, or not new, but it's Dogman. The Dogman werewolf sightings. I feel those are bullshit.
It's like the skinwalker. If I hear one more fucking video, maybe it's a skinwalker. Oh, for the love of Jesus and Mary, do a little research into what an actual skinwalker was. It was an evil wizard. Yanaglachi is the term, you know? It's a skinwalker chasing them down the road. Why? Was it bored? Did it have nothing better to do? Like, really? The skinwalker's just hanging out in the field waiting for some asshole to walk by so he can chase them? Boogity, boogity, boogity? Like, it's just fucking insane.
Well, see, that's what my dad used to say when we lived in Spokane. He would say that if you really want to know or investigate Bigfoot, okay, he said what you need to look for is how many people went missing in the woods, not how many Bigfoots are seen or what footage they might think they have or footprints or whatever. Find out how many people went missing and where they went missing, and then go looking for them.
Well, that's kind of interesting, Janet, because there's a guy that echoes that, and he's David Paulides, and he has his own thing called Missing 411.
Yeah, careful. David Paulides has been exposed for being a bit of a fucking, sensationalist as well. He ignores convenient evidence.
But my dad said because by taking out different things, that's when whatever's left, then you have something.
It's the Sherlock Holmes. When you've eliminated all that is possible, the only thing left, no matter how improbable, when you've eliminated the probable, whatever is left, no matter how impossible, must be the truth, right? Like, that's the idea. So you got to go through that whole line of reasoning. David Paulides had me originally. I was really into David Paulides, and then I started researching David Paulides and found all the actual, forest rangers going, well, yeah, but he left out this fact, he left out that fact, he cherry-picked these facts and stuff like that. And that's one of the problems with guys like David Paulides. It boils down to what Hecklefish says, there's always a book, And the minute anyone's making money off this shit, now my suspicion is up. Now, once someone's making money, we're going to have to pay a little more attention. When you've limited all which is impossible, whatever remains, no matter how improbable, must be the truth. Thank you, Hardwick. I'm too tired to remember my fucking Sherlock Holmes quotes. Or Star Trek, because they used it on Star Trek, too.
Well, my mother used to tell us, though, was if somebody's got a book out or a movie or a DVD or whatever it was, and you think that what they're saying could be possible, to go back and look at what they said before they became famous.
Yeah.
And so she would always have us go look.
Trying to say Occam's razor, but instead he said alaka razor, which is the number one razor in Turkey. Alaka razor, give you a nice close shave.
Yeah, but so
Connell, I'm picking on you, man. I hate that you never come around anymore, and I get to poke fun.
Oh, is he because he's working a lot?
Yeah, we never see him anymore. And then when he goes on late at night when I'm in bed. And he has a frequent guest that I refuse to be on screen with.
I miss those shows. So, because if they're late at night, I'm probably sleeping. But okay, well, I'm getting ready to go to bed because my eye is really bothering me. I need to go put an ice pack on it.
Just see a doctor about that, dear.
Well, if it doesn't look better by Monday, I'll definitely go to the doctor. But
wow,
yeah.
You are a guy. That is
literally
it's just the way because we do shit like
look
that.
at it. It already looks better. My eyeball's not all.
That's male medical behavior 101. This thing's getting bigger. I'll give it a couple of days and see what happens.
Yeah, well, I get that from my dad, I guess.
I mean, I burned myself on my
Oh my
muffler the
God,
other day.
that's horrible.
It's getting better. I've been treating it with triple antibiotics and some healing gel, burn gels.
That's good. How did you burn your arm, though? Can I ask that?
Okay, let me change the camera here because you're not going to understand what I'm saying otherwise. At the back of my trailer, or the back of my rig, on the passenger side, I have a compartment that we have kind of open. It's covered, but what we have is a pump which provides the oomph for my power jetter, my power washer. And so what I do is I have to reach in and turn the key to get it to start after I've fiddled with the choke and all this stuff. And I have to have my hand on the trigger with my power washer. Otherwise, I could have so much kickback that I blow off a vital part. So anyway, I will squeeze that and I reach in. The other day, my fucking power washer ran out of fuel. And so I have to reach on top, and I'm kind of underneath the deck where I lay my hoses and on top of where the pump's at. And I have to reach on top to grab the fucking fuel cap and start fiddling with it so I can get the fuel area exposed and I can refill it.
Yeah.
Well, my fucking skin touched the hot muffler, and that's why this is looking like a little bit of a steak.
Yeah, it looks pretty bad. I bet it hurt.
Yeah, it sucked. It sucked. As soon as I got done with that job, I went over to a convenience store, picked up some triple antibiotic ointment, and just started moisturizing it. And every chance I've had, I've thrown it on there. I bought $67 worth of first aid and burn goods from CVS. So I can have this protected when I'm at work. I got a bandage I can slap over it. Whenever I'm not at work, I'm just applying gel. No infection. Happy day.
Well, kids, I got to go to bed. It's like 3 hours past my
Me too.
bedtime.
I got to go to bed myself. But thank you guys, for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it.
It's a great time. Meet me in
good
Gilded.
show, I think we had some good discussion and we had really good chat for sure. So thank you guys for hanging out with me in the chat. You guys are awesome. Bye.
First off, let me convey to my family, friends, and supporters that now is not the time to gloat. We must remember that most of our left-leaning friends are good people who want the same things in life as we do, but simply think differently on how to get there. It is now time to be the bigger man, to extend an olive branch and unite all reasonable people of this great nation. God has blessed America, and together with President Trump, we will make America great again.